Grandstand AFL.
Dunkley, snap from the pocket, splits the middle, loading a little death row, and a toe poke for a goal off the outside of his left boot.
Straight down the pipe, Rayner, what a bar! Flew from the back, worked his way to the front, came down with the footy.
One hand, pulled it in, pushed away his opponent.
A banana for his first, a banana beauty.
Jenna from beyond 50 can bring the house down. He's worth the price of admission at any time, at any stadium. He's kicked it.
Oh, he has kicked it!
Grandstand AFL.
AFL.
The 2020 AFL Finals Series.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
High-octane sides, two exciting teams, two teams that will be thinking anything's possible in season 2020, but for one, it's the end of the road today, and for the other, it's on to next week. St Kilda and the Western Bulldogs in the first of the elimination finals for you this afternoon on Grandstand AFL. Tonight, the West Coast Eagles facing Collingwood in the other of the elimination finals. Already two teams through the preliminary finals, and the top two sides in the competition went through the home and away season. Port Adelaide knocked off Geelong and Brisbane knocked off Richmond. So Richmond, after winning 15 games in a row against the Lions, finally beaten by Chris Fagan's side. So the prelims will be at the Adelaide Oval and the Gabba, where the grand final is going to be played as well. Alistair Nicholson and Matt Clinch calling the action for you this afternoon with Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure, both premiership players. Rama at the Bombers and Sellers at the Blues. There are no late changes for either St Kilda or the Western Bulldogs this afternoon. Amit Baines, who is the CEO of the Western Bulldogs, will join us shortly on Grandstand AFL. 0437 774 774 is the number if you'd like to touch base. Are you getting excited? What are you up to? Send us your name and where you're listening to the coverage ahead of this sudden death final between the Bulldogs and the Saints. Jane and Amy have done that. They're Saints fans in northern New South Wales, just pacing, waiting, nervous and excited. Loved hearing from Shane Warne. That's how we are, mad supporters. So we need to shut down English and Caleb. Gears on Caleb. Like the Dogs, but we will win. Can't the Sainters, say Jane and Amy. And this is a bit different. James of Brighton has sent us a text message with a photo which shows him out the front of Moorabbin dressed up in his Saints gear. We are lining up for grand final tickets already at Moorabbin, says James. So not sure whether he's just wandering past and sent us the photo or he's legitimately trying to line up. He might have some quarantining to do and maybe a flight via the Northern Territory as well, Sellers, if he's genuinely going. But
well, did someone tell him that they're not playing the grand final there?
At Moorabbin, that'd be a turn-up, wouldn't it?
They used to party there anyway, didn't they, at Moorabbin, even when the games weren't there?
I can't go with that one.
It was interesting hearing the thoughts of Shane Warne. He was saying that in cricket circles he was very composed about getting the best out of himself and the team. When he was watching the Saints, it was just yelling at the TV, yelling at his team, yelling at his opposition, yelling at the umpires. He just
Can
lost
you
it.
imagine it, watching the footy with Warnie, Sellers?
No, not really. No, I can't imagine sitting with. I'd have to go. Seriously, you can't. If someone keeps yelling at the television about stuff, and umpires, have you ever tried to umpire? No one barracks for you. You can't win. Doesn't matter what you do.
Everyone boos you.
Everyone boos you, and you go, well, have you actually tried that, Warnie? No, I haven't done that. No, but look, everyone reacts differently, and that's the beauty of it. You don't have to be perfect at what you do. You have to sit in a chair like a grandma doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like you can actually do what you want to do. You know what I mean? So have your day out. Do what you like. I don't care.
Mark McClure alongside Adam Ramanauskas this afternoon. We'll narrow our focus in very shortly and bring you the full match preview. Conditions look good at the Gabba for this afternoon's clash. The surface looks superb. Interesting hearing during the week that they've borrowed a bit from the MCG in terms of turf preparation and even changed the mowing patterns, Rama. So those beautiful diamonds that we see on the MCG for the finals, they've been mown into the Gabba as well. A few other things that they've been lent on to assist with the MCC, and they're happy to do it given the difficult circumstances of the year.
Looks beautiful.
Sellers, I wanted to ask you about Brett Ratton and what he's been able to achieve at the Saints, and obviously a champion and highly decorated premiership player at the Carlton Football Club, and he was disposed of as coach going back a few years when Mick Malthouse came in. To see what he's done, and he personally admits that he's grown since his first coaching opportunity at the Blues. What do you make of his return to senior coaching and what he's been able to achieve at St Kilda?
I think he's been to the best place. After he came to Carlton, he came back to Carlton and coached. and he coached for about 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7 years, or something like that, I think it was. He got into the finals 3 times, and then they removed him because they wanted Mick Malthouse at that stage. We all know how that ended and all that sort of stuff, but Brett was smart enough and had still had the gall to go back, and I'm going to have another go. And Alistair Clarkson picked him up, right? So the last 2 premiership coaches in this competition came from Alistair Clarkson's disciples. Okay, so he goes there, he learns, he listens, he adds to their grand final success. He does a whole lot of things at Hawthorn and he goes, I've got a job, I've got a chance. So he picks up St Kilda, and they are reaping the wealth of his knowledge now. He's had failure. There's nothing wrong with failing. I tell you, it helps you sometimes. You go and reset yourself. You get yourself back up there. And he now is becoming an accomplished coach, which is really what he wanted to do at the start. Yeah. But sometimes you just can't do it because you don't have the knowledge and you don't have the experience. You don't have the failure sometimes. Failure helps. And he's had that. And I think that he's going to be around the landscape for a hell of a long time. Brett, he's a young man still. So I really like what he does. Carlton saw fit to remove him, and that's their choice. And he knew that too. So in a sense, he's learnt, but he's learnt the hard way, and that's the best way to learn. We've got a lot of kids who've come into this business have never coached anything, never coached anyone, never had a coaching job at all. They've been an assistant coach, which really to me is nowhere near where you need to be. You need to actually work yourself out whether you can actually stand up in front of somebody and they can follow you.
It'll be interesting to see, with footy landscape changing, Rama, less coaches potentially involved, whether there's more of an emphasis on those guys who have coached in their own right.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Whether they get a second opportunity like Brett Radden, because it sort of feels like there was no doubt he was going to be a better coach the second time around. It was just whether he was going to be the best option out of a panel of candidates.
We're quick to stamp coaches' papers. Really, really quick. If they fail once, that's the end. They're no good.
Oh, no.
They're no good. That's wrong. That's wrong. They've got to that level for a reason. And Sellers makes a really good point. As long as if you come back the second time, you don't make the same mistakes. Now, clearly, Brett's not making any mistakes. I don't think he made too many mistakes at Carlton. And like Sellers said, it was their decision to move Brett on, and they have to live with that. But I look at Michael Voss for an example. I look at Justin Leppage as another example. Even Alan Richardson. Who knows what happens with Alan Richardson into moving into the future? So we've got some very, very good coaches out there. Brett obviously then, through his time at Hawthorn, had some personal tragedy as well. And, you know, as tricky and as tough as that was for him.
It changes you as a person,
of course it
let
does.
alone as a coach.
And the players see that. They see the real empathy in him. They see, you know, when he does talk to them, it's not manufactured. It's real. He's gone through real life experiences and can actually help them. And sometimes with a player, it's not necessarily about what you're doing on the field and how a coach can help you. It's what you're doing off the field and how you can actually live your life and what type of adult you turn into.
Values.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's all about values. It's all about understanding your audience too, which is your playing group. Understand what they can do, what they can't do. You must understand them. If you don't understand them, guess what? You fail.
So it seems like a real emphasis, maybe since Clarko, it could have been before that, about having that connection with your playing group that's more than just player coach. It's more about just going out on a Saturday afternoon and performing in your 3 hours. It's about understanding the individual and trying to get the best out of that. You can sort of see a bit of Brett Radden and his life experiences, and even Brendan Lade made the reference about going and doing some meditation and speaking about we've ticked off an achievement in getting to finals, but we can't be satisfied with that. We've got to be wanting to win a final and challenge ourselves and see what's possible.
There's no one-size-fits-all now to coaching. Every player you coach now is different. So you've got to make sure that you like you said, Clint, you understand who each individual player is, and then you coach them to get the best out of that player.
Women's cricket this afternoon, the first of the one-day internationals between Australia and New Zealand from Allan Border Field in Brisbane, and Australia has defeated New Zealand. The New Zealand women posted a total of 180, dismissed in 49.1 overs. Australia chased that down with 7 wickets in hand, and they did it convincingly in 33.4 overs. So just a quick look at the scorecard for Australia. 2 wickets to Wareham, Jonathan and Molyneux, so the spinners did well. Carey picked up a wicket, Sutherland and Shute a wicket for Australia. And in that run chase, needing 181 to win. Haynes made 44, Healy 26. Meg Lanning 62 not out off 70, and Molyneux was there 18 not out at the end. It's a big day for the Saints. It's a big day for the Western Bulldogs. The elimination final at the Gabba. The first bounce is only half an hour away. Conditions look perfect, and the CEO of the Western Bulldogs, Amit Bains, has joined us on Grandstand AFL. Good to have you with us, Amit.
Thank you. Great to be here.
You excited? How's the camp? How is everyone inside the Western Bulldogs hub at the moment? Now on game day and only half an hour out.
Yeah, very excited. Obviously, any time you have the opportunity to play finals footy, you grasp it with both hands. And, yeah, very excited and looking forward to what the guys can produce tonight.
How encouraging was your finish to the season? Won 5 of your last 6 games?
Yeah, it was very good to take that momentum in. Obviously, had the loss to Geelong when we were a few goals in front, but to have that winning form is great and hopefully learn a bit from being in a similar position last year.
And to you, is this season a pass mark or is a win today a pass mark? Did you feel like making finals was a success?
Look, I think it's been a really arduous and difficult year for every club this year, obviously, given the changed circumstances and for the Victorian clubs being on the road for so long. So I think it's a success for everyone to have got the season completed. But now that we're here, obviously we want to win. And given we didn't win the first final last year, we're looking to atone for sure.
Mate, you've been at both clubs. Is it bittersweet today?
Fellas, it's an interesting one. Still got a lot of close friendships over at the Saints, but certainly for the next few hours, just want our guys to hopefully get the job done and take us forward to next week.
There's no doubt that they've improved their program. They've got a lot of good players in there, and they're going to be a good challenge.
Yeah, they will. They've played outstanding footy all year, and when we played them, which was at the very beginning of the year in round 2, they were way too strong for us on that night. So absolutely big game, and both teams like to take the game on. I think we're the 2 highest ranked teams, play-on teams in the competition. So hopefully a good spectacle for the neutral observer too.
I mean, in 2016, Bevo used the mantra of "Why not us?" What's he using this time round?
Oh, Ramo, I think it's a similar mindset just in terms of not putting any ceiling on the expectations. It's quite a different group from that time as well. I think there's only about 9 players who played in that premiership that are playing for the team tonight. So the mentality is still the same. Maybe the language is a bit different, but it's certainly, backing ourselves in to go as far as we can.
Now, obviously, you're the CEO of the Bulldogs, and I asked this question to Matt Finnis earlier. You'd love to be down in Melbourne playing this final, whether it be at the Docklands or at the MCG. That financial difficulty now, the back part of the season would have been quite beneficial with those games and playing and home games to the coffers. What's it mean to the club by not playing a final in Melbourne this time round?
Yeah, look, it has been challenging, and we only got a couple of home games at the start of the year, so there's obviously quite a lot of money that's been left on the table as part of that. But at the end of the day, we're just grateful that the season's been able to be played, and that we are playing in finals, because the damage to the whole competition and then in turn our own club would have been far greater if we didn't play at all. So it is a bit of a loss, but yeah, we're just grateful that it's not as bad as it could have been.
So when you talk about that, Amit, obviously you are looking to continually improve your facilities. How much has this year put the club back in terms of, is it 1 year, 2 years, 5 years of the plans that you had to do moving forward?
Yeah, hopefully not too far behind. Maybe just 12 months by virtue of everything having stopped in Victoria. Not so much from a financial perspective. We've on track to post a small profit this year, which we're really thrilled about, given everything that's happened this year. Our redevelopment plans are still tied to a couple of other different factors, including potential state government funding as well, which we're hopeful to receive in the state budget later in the year. So it's still very much alive, but just like everything, in Victoria this year, being on hold, everything's just been pushed back a period of time.
Amit Bains, the Western Bulldogs CEO, has joined us on Grandstand AFL. Matt Clinch, just interested everything we've experienced with COVID this season and moving the club up to Queensland, how hard has it been to run a club, and what changes? I know financially there'll be changes, but what sort of lessons have the Dogs learnt throughout this experience?
Yeah, Matt, it's been obviously one of the most challenging years that anyone's faced, whether it's sport or other industries as well. And I think what we've learnt is to really be open-minded, and some of the buzzwords that have been used this year and from Gil primarily around being adaptable and flexible. I think those things have had to become part of your DNA because the best laid plans have changed so many times. And even as we go into next year, it's obviously really encouraging that the case numbers continue to drop in Victoria, and we're hopeful that it stays that way. But we've still got to approach next year with a level of caution and flexibility as to how things might unfold. So I think that's been a big part of it. And in terms of the hub, again, it's been like an extended school camp being on the road for so long with all of your colleagues and peers. But I think for us, and certainly the way in which we've finished off the season to this point, it's really brought the group a lot closer together as well.
So is there a sense of pride in that collectively being able to keep the off-field, the on-field and communication between Luke and the players with so much that would change, not just throughout the season, but then week to week?
Yeah, absolutely. There have been some, like a lot of clubs, I suppose, some trying times across the year, and we have been plagued by inconsistency, in the middle part of the year. But, we've kept things together, and, it is a real testimony to our, particularly our players and staff and coaches that they've just maintained a really positive mindset and just been resilient through this whole chapter.
So just looking ahead, Amit, in terms of what the future might hold, and it seems some of the changes they've made this year might be implemented further next year in terms of flexible fixtures and whatnot. What about playing more games in Ballarat? Would that be something you would consider, given regional Victoria has been less affected by COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've still got another 12 months of our existing agreement with the state government to play in Ballarat next year, 2 more games, and we're hoping to extend that out. And, both the government and the AFL are as well. We see that as a big part of our heartland, sort of out past Western Melbourne through Western Victoria. And, as you say, regional Victoria and particularly through Ballarat has been unaffected, largely unaffected compared to other parts of the state. So it's definitely a key part of our future.
Could you play more than 2, do you think, or is that the right number?
I think that's the right number in normal, ordinary circumstances. But if you were faced with the question of not being able to play in Melbourne and having to have those games somewhere else, then obviously from a selfish point of view, Ballarat would be our next choice option.
And obviously the team's had a good year and you look like you have the pieces of a successful team at the moment, but every team's looking to complement what you have with bringing in experienced campaigners, and there are some good players available in the open market and likely to be targeted in the off-season by clubs. Financially, how well placed are the Western Bulldogs to be in the market for some players who will become available?
Yeah, no, look, we're well placed. We're still a reasonably young list in terms of the core part of our group, which, means that you've got to create some space to grow that group internally as well, obviously, and keep them together. But it also gives you some flexibility to go out and target players from other clubs. And Sam Power and Dom Alessi and the Liston recruiting team, do a terrific job. And this time last year brought in Alex Keith and Josh Bruce, who, have obviously been linchpins for us at either end of the ground and will be again tonight.
So would it be fair to assume that the Western Bulldogs won't be purely relying on the draft to bring in additional players?
No, it'll be a balanced approach, and I think that's the way the game's evolved, and the teams that have done it the best over the last few years have tended to go for a blend, keeping one eye on the future but also adding for the here and now.
Mate, great to chat to you. Before we let you go, where are you at the moment? Do you get down to the rooms? Do you get an eye on how the build-up's progressing and the nerves that are emanating from the rooms, or do you keep your distance?
No, it's been, on a personal level, been one of the great things of this year, having the fortunate ability to attend pretty much all of the footy meetings and even on game day. So sitting up with the non-playing players, but was in the team meeting just before, and obviously quite privileged to be in there. But, yeah, excited as well as the players are.
Amit, thanks for your time on Grandstand AFL, and for your sake, let's hope it's a productive afternoon for the Western Bulldogs.
Thank you very much, and good calling.
Good on you. Amit Baines there, the CEO of the Western Bulldogs on Grandstand AFL, repeating there are no late changes for the Western Bulldogs or the Saints in this elimination final. The Saints back in the finals for the first time since 2011. I love this text from Max in Wynyard in Tasmania. He says, when the Saints won in 1966 as a dairyman, I listened to a scratchy radio in the dairy when the famous point was kicked. The noise I made nearly had a stampede of cows. He's an 82-year-old fan now. Could this be the year, says Max? Well, stay tuned to your wireless again. I'm hoping it's not as scratchy as it used to be for you this afternoon, Max, but enjoy the broadcast with us on Grandstand AFL. Another listener says, I like the way Ratton spoke during the week when he said a final is worth 20 games for young backline, Patton, Caulfield, Long, etc., says Jim in Warrnambool. What do you reckon, Sellers and Ramo?
Oh, no doubt. Yep. No doubt, yeah. Whether you play really well in a final or really poorly in a final, you'll never forget it. And the experience that you gain from it just drives you for the remainder of your career.
You can see Brett Ratton, some shots of him in the rooms at the moment, very animated, addressing his troops. You spoke about Justin Longmuir at the back end of the year when he was addressing his players, that not one eye deviated from him when he spoke to his players, and everyone 100% committed to, or committing their attention to what he was saying, and that's a similar sort of atmosphere in the St Kilda rooms at the moment.
They're locked in. They're locked in. They're locked into to Brett's message. They're ready to go. You could see, a couple of the St Kilda players were a little bit twitchy there, and you should be. You should be nervous, Sellers. Well, I'm sure you were nervous in the finals you played.
Yeah, non-stop. Yeah, always.
The Western Bulldogs are making their way out onto the Gabba. They've done it before from 7th on the AFL table in 2016. They broke through for a drought-breaking premiership. It's been a quirky old year. Could something special again happen for the Western Bulldogs? They're out on the sunny Gabba and they're ready to go. Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure can preview the action for us this afternoon, where it will be won, where it will be lost, and then we'll bring you the ceremonial aspect before the first bounce with the Welcome to Country and the national anthems. Rama and Sellers, over to you.
Well, we had two really good games so far. We've had two winners in Brisbane and Port Adelaide who are, the underdogs, you would think, in both of those games. So anyone can win these. It doesn't really matter. This game shapes up as a really good contest between two sides who haven't won a lot of premierships and haven't had a lot of success in their life. But gee whiz, they're starting to get better and better and better. And I look at the Bulldogs for a start. They play an unusual style of football, but very positive. Run, handball, they have up 140 to 150 handballs a game. They continue to run with it. And it's all held together, all in the middle by McRae, who's a beauty. All of a sudden you can put Lockie Hunter in there, Libba, and Wallace up forward are the keys for me. They're the big guys. McRae's a ball magnet. But I want to see something from Bruce today. This is the day that we see something from the big boys up forward. Bruce and Norton, who stand there, they're surrounded by smalls, and that's the key to it. Kick to the talls, and then the smalls will come and happened on Thursday night with Charlie Dixon. It can happen again. I want to see him work a bit. He sometimes annoys you with sometimes your lack of work. Well, tonight's his night. That's what he has to do. I really like what they've done with Alex Keith, who come in and actually settles down their defence. I like what they do. Easton Wood down there, Caleb Daniels, who runs, and also Crozier, who's really been a pretty good player from. Johannesson will play on the wing, and I really like him on the wing. He actually plays on the wing but goes back to actually cover sometimes and help in the back half. I like the way they set up. English goes forward, and he kicks goals in that area there. That's what he does. He's kicked a couple each week.
Here come the Saints, Sellers. They're running out onto the Gabba. It's been a long time since they've run out onto the ground in a final.
Yeah, and I hope I'd like to see them win. This is between you and I, because then it'll be the end of Barry Breen as the only grand finals of all time. But let me tell you, the Doggies are very dangerous. A dangerous side. Pelly, Dunkley can play in the ruck. Dunkley can play up forward. He can play anywhere around the ground, and that's why I like their removability and their special talent in those areas there. I like their style. I love the way they play. They're dangerous to play against. The Saints, well, they've improved out of sight. They've brought in lots of players, and when you bring in Howard, who's really good, you bring in Butler, you bring in Kent, you bring in also Hanbury and a few others around the place. Gee whiz. They've made a mark on it. Hanbury as well as one of those. And all of a sudden, you can see the changes. They have two tall. Maxi King up forward is going to be a star. Let me tell you, he will be around for a hell of a long time. He's still a young man and still learning. Remember, he does lots of movement. But their smalls around the place are just fantastic. Really good with Billings. Bradley Hill does a lot of runs. Zach Jones moves. He goes back and plays that role back and comes forward. Gary, I love his selflessness. He plays for the team. He'll do the job that he has to do, he's told to do, and he'll do it better than anyone I've ever seen. I love the way he goes about it. So there's lots of good stuff. Caulfield and Wilkie, terrific down back. Young players playing in the back half. And I like Long as well, and Patton plays up forward sometimes and down back, so plays in both areas. They got some manoeuvrability too. I don't know who's going to win, to tell you the truth. It's going to be an interesting game, but which style wins, the kick mark or the run handball? That's the key.
There's some matchups that are really important. We spoke about, obviously, Johannesson and Daniel and what the Saints do there, but then you look at, does Brad Hill and Lockie Hunter play on a wing together? You know, Brad Hill, and he's a huge runner, like one end of the ground to the other. Lockie Hunter is a massive possession winner. And so important to the way he uses and sets them up going inside forward 50. Mitch Wallace has been sensational for the Dogs all year. Who gets that role? Is it Wilkie, who's really underrated? Is it Ben Patton, who's another really underrated player for the Saints? Someone has to watch that the Norton matchup. Does that go to Carlisle? Does that go to Dougal Howard? I think it's probably Howard to start with. I think they'll want Carlisle on Josh Bruce. So there's a couple of things in this game where that really, really stand out to me here. But the biggest one I think today is the ruck roll. Tim English needs to break even against Marshall and Ryder. Well, we know English can run and get around the ground and all, but if the Saints get first hand on the ball around stoppage, that's going to make it really, really tricky for the Bulldogs. They need to break even there. So if it's not English, do they get Josh Bruce up in there to just make a contest of some description and make it really, really hard for the Saints? Jack Steele, he's now turned into a legitimate midfielder. He's not just that run-with player that shuts an opponent down. But he's going to have to watch Bontempelli, or he's going to have to watch McRae, or he's going to have to watch Bailey Smith. Zach Jones is a really important in for the Saints because he adds the aggression. He's aggressive, but he's aggressive with the ball.
And he's speedy.
Yeah, he gets pace. The ball and he uses his legs out of contest. So that's the one now. The Bulldogs, they're not a tagging team. So the Saints really are going to get what they want. Billings, he's probably been a guy that's gone under the radar a lot this year. But I think he could be in for a massive game today. Now, we've spoken about Steele and Ross and those type of players at the Saints this year, but I think Billings could have a really, really big influence. The Saints, they've got to go early, Sellers. They've got to run and attack early. I don't want to see them play careful, cautious football. I think when teams do that, they take away their great strength. St Kilda's great strength is run, attack, and carry. I want St Kilda to score early. Put some pressure on this game early.
Well, neither of these teams want to sit there and try and save the game. They actually do attack.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be a feature of this game,
yeah.
A real feature.
The Dogs, on the other hand, they want to possess the ball. They want to flip it around. They want to use the forward handball, back handball. They need to get Norton and Bruce looks. I think Sellers made a great point about Josh Bruce. You've got to get him into the game early today. Norton's obviously, he's got the cheekbone fracture, which fantastic seeing him out there and a lot of courage shown. But Bruce has got to stand up. This is what they got him to the club for. They got him to the club for finals and for big games. This is a big game. Massive game, obviously.
They got him from Footscray.
From
St Kilda to Footscray. And now it's his time to stand up. He actually played pretty well at St Kilda, and he hasn't really shown what he's done there.
He kicked 50 goals in 2015.
Yeah,
Sellers.
I know.
Luke Beveridge has shown a lot of faith and a lot of patience has been given when he hasn't performed. He kicked 6 against North Melbourne earlier in the season, but apart from that, Beveridge has been forced in a way to try and get him involved in the game by sending him into the ruck at times. Yeah, just because he hasn't been able to.
Again, that's what has to happen. If he's not involved in the game early, get him involved. Just get him involved in the game. The other one I mentioned quickly is Seb Ross. Now, Ross was a prolific possession winner. He was getting numbers over the last couple of years. You thought, wow, look at this. But he's changed his game now because he realises what his midfield is and what role he has to play in that team. As a vice-captain, I think he's played a really selfless role this year. So I think he'll go to, again, one of McRae, Bontempelli or Smith around the contest to make them accountable, because his hands around the contest are beautiful. So they'll use him, use it to that advantage. It's fascinating. This is the final I've looked forward the most forward to. I've said that a couple of weeks ago. I love both of these teams because they've had to work. St Kilda have worked desperately hard to get back into this position. 9 years since the final. The Bulldogs, obviously last year, they got beaten up. The Giants beat them up. And I know for a fact that a lot of people at that football club were embarrassed by that. And I know for a fact that Luke Beveridge has mentioned that a number of times about, we'll never, ever put a performance up like that again. He, in a sense, it felt like they waved the white flag last year. This is too hard. They're too tough for us. So this first 5 or 6 minutes of this game, it's going to be hot.
Yeah, some of the treatment Marcus Bontempelli got in that final from Toby Green, there was a lack of representation.
No doubt.
People didn't come in.
Fly the flag for your teammate.
We saw early in the year when the two teams went at it again and GWS tried to ruffle the feathers of the Dogs, they well and truly stood up in the face of that and had a very good win.
So would you expect someone to go to Marcus Bontempelli straight away to make that physical intent?
Well, it's a good question. Do you concentrate on your own game?
Who's going to go? Who's going to go and rough him up? From the
Zach Jones has
Zach Jones would be the one I'd pick.
definitely got the ability to do that.
I think Long has the potential to be quite an impactful player in a final.
Yeah,
His
he
method.
has.
Not sure Dan Hanbury would have the fitness to go with him, but could probably pick him up at certain times.
See, when you watch some teams talk team,
but
do they act it? And the Bulldogs didn't act it when they needed to, and that's a slur on them. So that you'd say, hang on a second, we've got to change that around, and you'll see a different. I think you'll see a different Bulldog team with that sort of stuff.
They're renowned as a fantastic contested ball side, the Western Bulldogs, and if you look at their performances across the course of the year, if you can beat the Western Bulldogs or even match them in contested football, you go some way towards winning the game. How do you think St Kilda matches up in that department against the Dogs?
Well, look, I think that they're different styles, you know what I mean? And you've got to play your style. You can't change your style to match somebody else's. If you're happy with where you're going and what you're doing and you reckon you can kick enough goals, you stick with what you do. And then the opposition have to beat you. And you've got to put the goals on. You've got to put the score on. You've got to continue to break into their lines all the time. So, to me, you can't go one day and say, hang on, the Doggies are here, so we're going to change our game completely. That's not on. You just got to stick to your plans and keep working at it and hope that they, or not hope, know that they can't beat you doing that. Feel confident about it, because if you don't, you lose.
0437 774 774 is the number if you want to get in touch. Remember to let us know your name and where you're listening to the broadcast. Rick Ensley and Margaret River. Great build-up, gents. How lucky are we to have finals in 2020? Listening avidly. Spraying out arum lilies in coastal bushland. Gorgeous spring day. Enclosed is a picture of donkey orchids in the understory cellars. Go the contest, says Rick. Thanks, Rick. That's a lovely photo that you sent.
Where is he?
He's in Margaret River.
Oh, down the bottom.
What a beautiful spot.
Beautiful spot, yeah.
He sent us a photo of some orchids. I need to learn a bit more about the understory. I've never heard that term before. Davros is in Adelaide. Is it fair that this elimination final pits everyone's second team versus everyone else's second team? I like that, Davros. Yes, that's certainly the case. The Bulldogs and the Saints have often been the second teams of many supporters when their own teams haven't been involved. So it's got a bit about it today, the game. And the added layer is the fact that there's no return for the team that loses. As much as, there was excitement surrounding the qualifying finals, put Adelaide over Geelong and Brisbane over Richmond, there was always the knowledge that whoever lost would get another opportunity. One of these teams, the season comes to an end here today, and two teams who've often had to fight and scratch for every opportunity they've had. St Kilda won premiership back in 1966. The Dogs only had one in 1954 before they finally broke through from 7th, where they are now in 2016. The players have come together on the wing. The sun is out at the Gabba. We're going to have the pre-match formalities and then one hell of a contest for you on Grandstand AFL. So the players lined up. We'll have the Welcome to Country and the national anthems. Let's take you down to ground level at the Gabba as the players ready themselves for what's to come. Brett Ratten's got a big smile on his face. Let's go to the official ceremony.
To the elimination final between St Kilda and the Western Bulldogs. The AFL acknowledges the Yagara language group, the traditional owners of the land we gather on today, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We acknowledge we play our great game on this land and respect the cultures of all First Peoples, their contribution to our nation and contribution to the game of Australian rules football. We now introduce traditional owner Shannon Ruska and the Turrbal Yagara Aboriginal dancers for the Welcome to Country.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shannon Ruska, and we're the Yagara Turrbal dancers of Brisbane City. We'd like to welcome you here to our country, to the place which we call Wollongabba, which means the whirling waterholes are also fighting talk. It's where the teams will come to battle the final series in a historical moment of the first time ever in AFL history. We welcome you to our land. We welcome you to the Gabba.
Would you now please join the coaches, players and umpires as we stand for the Australian National Anthem.
Steely looks of focus on the faces of the players ahead of this elimination final between the Western Bulldogs and St Kilda. Two teams that got through the home and away season with 10 wins and 7 losses. One will go on, one will farewell this unconventional season 2020. The Saints back in finals. Will it just be a flirting return, or can they do something truly special in season 2020? The players are going to their starting positions ahead of this clash. Just a few last-minute warm-ups going on for the Western Bulldogs. We're just a minute or so away from the first bounce. Brett Ratten looks really relaxed. He was smiling as they lined up for the national anthem. He's giving thumbs up. The captains, Jaron Geary and Marcus Bontempelli, go to the middle for the coin toss.
And it's a tails.
And the toss has been won by Marcus Bontempelli, who, with a hint of indecision, decides that the Western Bulldogs will kick to the western end towards the city. So we're about to go on Grandstand AFL. Steele and Billings collide. Just a couple of last-minute collisions to ensure that they're physically ready for this huge contest. Saints fans around the country, it's an afternoon to savour. And for the Dogs fans, they know what it's like to be 7th entering a finals campaign and what possibilities could lie ahead. Amy in Cranbourne North on the SMS. I'm so bloody nervous, it's not funny. Come on, Saints, we deserve and need this, says Amy. Thanks to you, Amy. Good luck this afternoon. 0437 774 774. And Bernie's on the road driving back to Albury from Adelaide after a disappointing loss, nearly at Deniliquin. Listening to you guys. Good luck to the Dogs and the Saints. Keep them coming. Ride the emotional roller coaster with us this afternoon on Grandstand AFL. 0437 774 774. Aaron Norton's donned the helmets, having had cheekbone surgery. You can see that there's a portion of the helmet on the right side that's a little more heavily protected, coming around the side of his face.
Yeah, and it needs to be.
That's a very quick turnaround from
no doubt.
surgery.
No doubt. It was a bad break, obviously. So, like I said, unbelievable courage for Norton to get out of there.
He glances as he makes his way down towards full forward at the western end, up at the crowd at the Gabba. Wonder whether that...
Geez, we haven't even mentioned Tom Liberatore. He's been
superb.
He's been superb the past month, and he's critical in finals. Contested clearance player that he is. He was brilliant in the 16 final series for the Dogs. He's going to have a big say in proceedings today.
We're about to go. Paddy Ryder, Bradley Hill, ready themselves.
Yeah, there they are. Lockie Hunter, Brad Hill on the wing together.
Welcome
Good
back,
clash.
Saints. What can you do, Dogs? On Grandstand AFL, here's Matt Clinch.
English and Paddy Ryder ready to get things underway from the Gabba. Opening bounce is a beauty. Ryder wins down the tap. Jones onto it for the Saints. Hand pass to Steele. Kicks inside the 50. King, the marking target, couldn't take it. First onto it. Was he tackled when he didn't have the footy? Caleb Daniel with a clearing kick for the Dogs to the wing. Bruce moved out of it by Carlisle. Gathers to the Saints. Hand pass to Long. Hand pass away to Ross. He's going to retreat back to centre half back. Where the mark is taken by Wilkie. Work it over the top to the middle of the ground. Hunter Clark spent more time in the midfield in season 2020. Out to the wing. Tough one for Membry. He had to read the bounce better than Joe Hannison. Turns onto his right. Kicks the Dogs to half forward. Wood in from the side. And takes the mark at half back for the Dogs.
He chips to the back point of the square. McRae takes the mark. On defensive 50. He kicks to Gardner. On the left half back flank. A hand pass away to Bontempelli. Bontempelli kicks to the wing. Stanley Street side where Rourke Smith takes the mark for the Western Bulldogs. Rourke Smith, one of the 5 Dogs playing their first final today. Josh Bruce, Bailey Williams, Alex Keith, Ryan Gardner all playing their first finals. Kick goes towards Bruce. He couldn't mark. Clark gets it for the Saints. Hand pass almost pinched by Liberatore. Comes back to Clark, who's sitting on top of it. Bontempelli over him. A ball up at left half forward for the Western Bulldogs.
Opening 90 seconds. No score at the Gabba. Tossed up English and Ryder. Ryder rises high, wins down the tap, straight to Liberatore. Rourke Smith for the Dogs. Hand pass to Bontempelli. Kicks towards Wallace. Was Wilkie over the shoulder? He was. Has Bruce taken the advantage? He did. And the Dogs have the opening goal. He pumps the fist and grabs the jumper. The former Saint, now a Dog. And Josh Bruce, how important is that for his confidence and for the Western Bulldogs? The opening goal, the elimination final. The Bulldogs won straight 6. St Kilda yet to score. 2 minutes played, opening term.
Well, again, off that stoppage there, Ryder jumped into Tim English, but Bontempelli just rode that pack beautifully, put it to a really dangerous position. We thought the matchup of Wilkie and Wallace would happen. Wallace has been so good in those body contests. Wilkie gave away the free kick. Wallace would have had a free kick directly in front of goal, 20 metres out, but Bruce was onto it. And that'll do his confidence a world of good, Sellers.
See, Bontempelli was fantastic there. He didn't actually go for goal. What he did is he put it 10 metres out from the square, which is a dangerous spot for defenders. All of a sudden they grapple, grab, hold. Free kick was given, but didn't matter. Bruce, we asked for Bruce, and Bruce delivers straight away. Let's hope there's more for him.
So those matchups that we thought. So Carlisle is going with Josh Bruce. Norton has Dougal Howe, and Wilkie with Mitch Wallace.
From the middle, Ryder got first hand to it, but McRae always met by a big long bump and floored in the middle of the ground. He's up and okay, McRae, but that knocked the stuffing out of him momentarily. Williams gets it for the Dogs. Off to Liberatore. Bouncing ball towards half forward. It bowls past Norton. They've got runners at the back, though. Rourke Smith gets it on the 50. Gave to Bailey Smith. He tries to fend away from Long. Hand pass to Williams, 55 out. The South Australian tees it up to the teeth of goal. English, one-handed, couldn't take the mark. Hunter tries to rope. He took Loney without the ball. Free kick for the Saints in the right back pocket. Sharon's on the text. She says, come on, Saints. Have been my ray of sunshine in the COVID lockdown here in Dublin. Thinking of everyone back in Melbourne. Go the mighty Saints. Great to have you with us, Sharon.
Oh, that was out.
Loney to the back pocket, very close to the line. Boundary up, I was right there. Wilkie gets this one. And he conceded the free kick to Wallace, resulting in the Bruce goal. Long kick to the wing. Max King's there. There's a good imposing mark in the pack. He has a defensive side of the southern wing. Looks to kick forward. On the lead is Geary. Couldn't take the mark. Butler crumbed it beautifully. Gets the hand pass away to Loney. Kicks inside the 50. Williams going back. Great mark. Membry trying to get there to make body contact. Williams' eyes never deviated from the footy.
You can
Takes
see
the mark 20 metres out from his defensive goal.
So you can see the flow of both sides. They're both going forward really hard, trying to score.
Cordy received it, goes out to the right half-back flank, and Johannesson marks in the sunshine. He kicks along the Vulture Street wing, back with a flight. Carlisle couldn't take it. Wood paddled to his own advantage, and then it ricochets off Carlisle towards the 50. Picked up by Wood, feeds the hand pass off to Hunter. Hunter gives to Bailey Smith from 45 out. Kick on its way, hits the post. The Dogs with their first behind, 1-1-7. The Saints are yet to score on Grandstand AFL. We've played 5 minutes.
Get that replay of Long and McRae. Didn't bump. He just, he was running. It just hit him front on.
We know Ben Long can do that.
Yeah.
Speed and power, physical presence. He's got the ball from Hunter Clark on half back. He turns it over. Lockie Hunter takes the intercepting mark between wing and half forward for the Dogs. So all the Bulldogs so far, 3-2 inside 50. It's the only goal of the match. As Hunter goes short to Caleb Daniel. Still a good 2 kicks out from goal.
Great kick.
Looks for the right option. Short to Johannesson. Just before the Saints defence on 50. Loads up with a long kick. English to target. Bruce there as well. Carlisle sees it through.
Yeah,
To me, that's such a poor kick.
Yeah, get in the hot spot.
Yeah.
Really put the defenders under some pressure. Don't go the safe kick early in the game. Really attack. Put it to the teeth of goal.
Boundary throw in. Knocked down by Marshall. Billings underneath it, couldn't win possession. Liberatore did off to Bontempelli, off to Rourke Smith. Left foot snap from 35 out. He's hit the middle of the ball. It's out of bounds on the full. Just a hint of inertia there when he didn't initially take the shot. So, yeah, Long might have a problem here. He's caught McRae on the chin with that bump from earlier. It was the right shoulder that caught him in the chin. But McRae got up and was okay.
Yeah.
So
I know
that's
that,
encouraging.
but it's the action. Now, you can't think about it because they didn't get hurt.
Howard's long kick to the wing. Brad Hill's able to pick it up. Gets it forward to Kent. Between wing and half forward. Almost run down. Just got the kick away. Long ball. Geary and Daniel. Geary takes the mark. Feeds the hand pass away. And into the open goal goes Tim Membry. Back to a point. The difference with the Saints opening goal through Tim Membry. The quick speed to move the ball inside the attacking 50. And the mismatch on Caleb Daniel. The Bulldogs 1-1-7 to the Saints, 1 straight 6.
That's always going to happen with Geary. But the way they moved the ball was really quick. It could have happened to anybody. Daniel was too small, got pushed out of the way comfortably by Geary. The long kick into the forward line. And if he stretches him and stays back there with Daniel, they're going to hurt him. They're going to hurt Daniel and they're going to hurt the Doggies. That was a really good save. And then the handball off was the better one for me. So he shares it with his teammates. Hey, I understand this. Here you go. There's your goal. You can have this. I don't need it that badly.
That's really interesting because Daniel never gets sucked back to the goal square.
He has to.
On his direct opponent. So the Bulldogs always play with a wicket keeper and whoever's the deepest, it's just a quick handover. So if Geary can continue to do that and drag Daniel back into that really dangerous spot, well, he's got to mark it more times than not because of obviously Daniel's height. So the Bulldogs need to get that right early in this game. Brendan Lade mentioned to us before the game had something in mind. Well, that looks like what it is.
Bye, boys. Poor bounce in the middle of the ground will be recalled. It's 24 degrees in Brisbane and throughout the contest it'll be in the low 20s. English and Marshall in the middle. Marshall wins it down. Taken by Hanbury. His left foot high ball to the half-forward flank for the Saints. Getting away from his opponent. King dropped what he should have taken. McRae gets it for the Dogs. Off to English. Hand pass over his shoulder. Creative, big man. Off to Daniel, little man. He's caught. Mown down. Had a bounce.
And the
He
back.
was caught, but he was pushed in the back, and it's a free kick against Dan Butler.
Very lucky.
Daniel has it on the AFL logo on the Vulture Street side. The Dogs by a point.
Called the play on. Eyes darting into the corridor. No easy options. So kicks long. Going up. Bailey Smith couldn't take the mark. It's taken by Billings to the Saints. Hand pass to Jones. Feeds the hand pass away to Butler. Here they go with the run of Sinclair. Kicks inside the 50. Geary trying to lunge forward. Couldn't make it. Daniel punches it away. Butler gathers. 50 from goal. Puts it into the pocket. And Maloney, running back in the left forward pocket, takes the mark. Only about 35 metres out.
Butler's been handy for them, hasn't he? I mean, he ran back from the centre of the ground. He was miles off, but he still ran to that area, and the ball got to him at some stage. Just got to chance his hand sometimes, and Butler got it, pushed it forward.
Got to convert these now.
Yeah, Jack's got to do that.
Early in games when, you're not fatigued. So important if you're taking marks inside forward 50 to convert.
5 goals, 1 in his last 3 games. So he's normally a good man to have the footy in. He comes in, starts it left, fades it right. And it misses. Draws, scores level at 1-1, 7 apiece through 9 minutes of the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Daniel is shielding the sun from his eyes as he prepares to kick in for the Western Bulldogs.
Bring it in. Play on.
No longer the solo dog in the helmet today. Darren Norton going for the headgear as well to protect that fractured cheekbone. He goes to Gardner in the right back pocket. Gardner looks uncertain. So he goes for territory down the line. A big pack of about 10 players. It gets to the back of it. Wilkie had it, lost it. Carlisle gets it. Hand pass away to Patton. Off to Hanbury. His kick inside the 50. Well placed to mark, and doing so was Dure of the Dogs near full back. He kicks to right half back, and Cordy has possession. He moves it on by hand. Hunter breaks the line and bounces his way off half back.
Looking at options down the wing, decides to drive a long kick towards English. Wilkie good positioning. He's able to take the intercepting mark for the Saints at left half back. The opening goal for the Dogs coming through Josh Bruce, Tim Membry with the answering goal for the Saints. Wilkie, the South Australian mature age recruit. That's not a good kick. Looking for Patton, turns it over. Crozier onto it. Hand pass to McRae. Away to Bailey Smith. He kicks over the head of Wallace. Lunging forward now. A
That's
problem.
holding the ball. He's in trouble now.
No, Josh Dunkley laid the tackle. Caulfield had to turn to the umpire and wait for his verdict to be found.
They've stopped playing that, haven't they?
He's given the benefit of the doubt, and the ball up 35 metres out from the Dogs' goal.
You've got to make some effort to release the ball.
English to tap down and long. He's caught by Dunkley immediately. And the umpire will ball it up again 30 metres from the Western Bulldogs goal at the western end. Scores level. 1 goal, 1 apiece. Been playing 11 minutes. Ryder and English. Ryder cradled it down. Jones got it on return for the Saints. His hand pass towards the goal square. Carlisle cleans it up. Thumps it out of defence to the back flank. Bontempelli gathered it. It was bumped over the line by Geary. And it will be a throw in 65 metres around from the Western Bulldogs goal at left half forward on the Stanley Street side of the Gabba.
Tom Liberatore with 4 disposals. Cable Daniel with 4. Rourke Smith with 4. Callum Wilkie with 4 for the Saints, leading the way. Steele, tackle, didn't get a hand pass away. Play on's the call. McRae battles with Ryder. The numbers went out as Bailey Smith gets on the end of it for the Dogs. Kicks towards English. Over around the footy in the end. A chance for the Saints as it's handball out of play by Patton. And a boundary throw in right on the 50-metre out for the Dogs.
Started well, Bailey Smith. Leading possession when they're on the ground. For 5 already, but he's getting them forward to centre at the moment, which is really important as a midfielder.
Such a dangerous player if he can get uncontested footy. Thrown back in, Dunkley in the ruck against Ryder. Brought down to the front, Liberatore onto it. Feeds the hand pass away. Here's Bailey Smith on cue. From 55, goes long to the goal mouth. It's offline to the right. And it misses everything. Out of bounds on the full. Norton with the helmet trying to work back. The Saints will take the free kick through. Dougal Howard in the back pocket.
Tom Liberatore started well also. 5 possessions, 3 of those clearances. They're doing a lot of work in close.
Howard from the left back pocket sees a free man on the right half back flank, and Billings takes the mark. He kicked 3 goals and had 24 touches when these two teams last met. Kicks to the wing. A beautifully weighted pass to Hanbury, running back with a flight. Hand pass away to Steele. Quick play from the Saints. 70 out, a thumping kick. Membry, hands to it, no mark. Geary roves. He's tackled by Daniel, caught with it. Almost threw it out, he did. Daniel got him.
Good win.
As much as Geary's playing the defensive role on Daniel, Daniel got a hold of Geary there, and he's rewarded with a free kick at fullback for the Western Bulldogs. 1-1-7 plays, 1-1-7, 13 played of the elimination final.
Oh, Daniel kicked to Liberatore and Carlisle. Carlisle rose over the top and took the mark. It's probably almost within range. He's 52 metres out. He sets flight. It's a high ball. It won't quite have the distance. Dogs from the side. Williams couldn't take the mark. Caleb Daniel gathers on the last line. Hand pass to Hunter in the back pocket. He works it over the top. Now to Bailey Smith. Back to Hunter by hand. Still in the left back pocket. He drives a long kick to the wing. Ben Long sits underneath it. Can't take the mark. Norton got a fingertip to it. Wilkie gathers to the Saints. Kicks to half forward. No flyers really there. Kent tries to bring it down. But Daniel's onto it. Hand pass back to Hunter.
Hunter, very high kick to the wing. Stanley Street side. Crozier flies, as does Howard. He came down heavily, Howard. Crozier went the punch. Picked up by Bailey Smith. Another possession, centre wing. Hand pass to Crozier. Off to Richards near the Saints bench. He kicks towards half forward. Dunkley takes the mark. He's 47 from goal.
Stand still.
He's going to chip it short. Norton sent back with a flight. Punched away by Sinclair. And Sinclair sweeps for the Saints at centre half back. He gave it off to Clark. Spun away from Johannesson and uses his left boot neatly out towards the back flank and Geary.
St Kilda captain just takes a moment, waits for Jones to run past, kicks it into the path of Zach Jones. And he holds things up on the wing.
Yeah, you got to go back Dunkley there. I like the unselfishness, but inside forward 50, take the responsibility.
Into Patton, broke the Johannesson tackle, but Cordy got the smother. Clark tries to clean it up for the Saints. Kicks in the middle of the ground. And the mark's taken by Caulfield. Caulfield back across half, back to Carlisle. Looking out to the southern side of the ground where Ben Long has space. Memory right there with him. He marks just inside the boundary, interchange side. Into Brad Hill. One of the recruits in season 2020 driving this finals appearance. Kicks wide. Butler took the mark over the line. And the Bulldogs will take it back on left half back. Rock Smith to take it with scores level at 1-1-7 apiece through 15 minutes.
Rock Smith told to get it moving from near the boundary line at left half back. Kicks to the wing. Bontempelli in front of the pack. Crozier got hands to it. Dunkley a little hand pass out of the pack, but intervening Wilkie. He's tackled. His hand pass affected. Hill comes through. He's caught by Bontempelli, taken over the boundary. Centre wing. Stanley Street side of the Gabba. Scores still level. 1 goal, 1 apiece at the 16-minute mark. Norton's come off for a breather. A boundary throw in between the two benches. Ryder reaches over the top of Dunkley, knocked it down to Steele. Bananas a kick around the wing. Williams edged out Loney expertly and took the mark. Bailey Williams of the Western Bulldogs on the back point of the square.
The Dogs with 4 shots on goal to 2, but both sides at 1-1 apiece. Long kick towards half forward. Caulfield almost did enough to claim the mark. Not paid. Dunkley onto it for the Dogs. Good vision.
That's better.
Spotted Johannesson free. He marks directly in front. 40 metres from goal.
English had an attempt there to mark and actually gave a contest which actually turned it around, which is one of the good things he's done so far. But that was a really good chip kick.
Yes, Zach Jones there just sitting off his direct opponent, thinking the ball's going to go long. Yep, I'll run back to goal. I'll be able to get a possession. Josh Dunkley, good enough. Lower the eyes. Find Johannesson.
The Norm Smith medalist in their premiership year. He's proved to be a goal scorer in recent weeks. Can he capitalise here? Yes, he can. Jason Johannesson puts the Bulldogs back in front by that margin. They're 2-1-13. The Saints 1-1-7. After 10 goalless minutes, the opening goal through Bruce and their Membry responding for the Saints. On Grandstand AFL, with Adam Romanascus and Mark McClure.
Big tight game, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's great. It's up and back. It's fast. It's electric at the moment. But Western Kilda are just slightly off the mark at the moment is the tackle count. Only 3 tackles in the first 17.5 minutes of this quarter, whereas the Bulldogs have had 10. And you notice, Bailey Smith at the moment. Caleb Daniel now with 7. Lockie Hunter 6. Libba 5. They're all midfielders. Now that pressure's got to be applied through the middle of the ground. We spoke about this before the game, so if you allow the Dogs mids to control the game, through Daniel at half back into the midfield. It's going to be very hard for the Saints.
And possessions of 54 to 60, which is nothing. You have a look at the inside 50s, 9-9. So there's nothing in this game at all. It's very, very tight. The ball's going up and down. It's just when you take your chance, the moments are important.
Yep.
Umpire lays it down. English wins this tap. He's going to get the clearance. Long's come through to lay another big bump. He tried to take out Liberatore and missed him. Liberatore will be thankful for that. It rumbles up towards centre half forward. Sinclair got it for the Saints. Off to Hunter Clark, who gave it away to Ross. Ross kicks to the wing, a foot race here, and Bradley Hill should win that opposed to Rourke Smith. He takes possession. Stanley Street side. Low kick around the boundary was a good one to Marshall, who marks on his chest. Pinpoint from Hill. Marshall 60 out at right half forward. Long kick towards King, one-on-one. Yes! Worked his way to the front on Eastonwood and took a fine mark at the top of the goal square, and scores are about to be level again.
3 doggies there, and he couldn't find one of them. They couldn't get a body aim at all. They didn't actually hit body. That was the problem. He allowed him to get past Wood, and once he got past, he just took an easy mark.
The future looks bright with Max King. He comes in and he puts through his first goal in an AFL final, and you'd suspect it's the first of many to come. He levels the scores. 2-1-13 St Kilda. The Western Bulldogs 2-1-13 on Grandstand AFL. We've played 19 and a half minutes of this elimination final.
That's not the first time we've seen that happen with Max King, and it won't be the last, I can assure you. He has a good ability to understand where the ball's going, and when they kick it that way, and there was Eastonwood didn't put a touch on him, you need to hit body. You need to touch the player, because all of a sudden they lose a bit of balance. And then Keith wasn't there either to run with him. And 2 smalls around the place, he just outmarked him comfortably. Kick was good, straight to the top of the square, exactly where you'd want it as a tall. And that's what. And then he finishes off well. Great game, 13 points each.
So Ben Long tried to take out Liberatore in the middle of the ground, missed him, but got Dan Hanbury instead.
Can you get reported?
I think you can.
Where does friendly fire rate in the MRO table, sellers?
He's got to be careful here. He's had a couple of goes.
He's charging off the line.
I know, and he's had a couple of goes at this, not just here, but he's had a few suspensions as well.
Here we go.
Mark McClure and Adam Ramanauskas with you on Grandstand AFL. Matt Clinch and Al Nicholson. So goal for goal so far in this opening quarter. Ryder, one down the tap, got it to the advantage of Hanbury. Ross couldn't pick it up cleanly. Bontempelli laid one, and then 2 tackles on Jones. Hand pass to Hanbury, quickly back to Ross. Clark couldn't take it cleanly. Richards gets in for the Dogs, wins it. Hand pass to Dunkley. Kick towards Crozier is held.
Western Bulldogs.
High contact from Patton.
Dan, let him go. Dan, let him go.
He hit the ball.
It's a little tug of the jumper, but
no, he hit the ball, but he comes down on the shoulder.
Yeah.
So it's clearly there.
It was a tad harsh, really, wasn't it? But it was there. Yeah, whatever.
So Hayden Crozier, usually more known as a defender, but was a forward once upon a time with Freo. Has kicked a goal so far this season, back in round 14. Out to the right, just on 50. It's a good-looking kick. Great finish. Crozier capitalises on his chance playing forward. And the Bulldogs, as quick as a flash, are back in front by a goal. 3-1-19 to the Saints 2-1-13. We played 21 minutes opening term on Grandstand AFL.
You just look at it again. It's out of the centre. So the momentum of the ball's going the Bulldogs' way. St Kilda then win the ball, flick it around. But it's the Bulldogs' pressure there. I spoke about that earlier. The Saints 4 tackles. The Dogs have had 11 tackles. So not allowing that free possession through the middle of the ground. You look at St Kilda's leading possession winners. Wilkie, defender. Hunter Clark, defender. Carlisle, defender at the moment. So that's a great sign for the Bulldogs, that their pressure's up at the moment and they're forcing the turnover. Ed Richards there with the tackle, but then cleans up the handball. Wasn't a great kick going inside 50 by Dunkley, but it was good enough because it was to space. It was to a one-on-one contest inside forward 50. Crozier, a beautiful kick, as we've seen with him playing in the back line, and converts easily in the end.
It's been goal for goal. The Saints haven't led in the game. The Dogs' biggest lead, 7 points so far. St Kilda, on the basis of what we've seen, will strike next if the theme continues. Ross out of the middle to Hanbury. The Saints get the clearance. High ball through the middle of the ground. Billings up, couldn't take it. Hill attempted to rove. He's over it. He flicks it out. Coming through Hanbury. He's caught. Bontempelli got him. Ball dislodged. Had it a fair while. Jones over it. Rourke Smith over him. A ball up the Saints attacking side of the centre square.
Rowan, Tim.
Bulldogs by a goal. Approaching quarter time of this elimination final. Marshall takes it out of the ruck. High left foot kick towards the attacking 50. Membry rises, couldn't mark Billings, had it fall in his lap. He gave to Butler, broke one tackle, not the Wood tackle a second time. Loney left it, tried to Shepherd, no one went to get it. Daniel picks up for the Dogs. Off to Liberatore. Balks and dodges in trouble. He gave it off to Gardner, who slams it on the boot. Out to the back flank. Marshall best placed here for St Kilda. English a little tap away from him. Bruce gets it. His hand pass missed. Hunter goes over the boundary line. 70 around from the Bulldogs goal at left half forward Vulture Street side.
Level with me.
Jenny from Essendon says, you do have a fan in Essendon, Sellers, surprisingly. Mark McClure should have his own radio show, says Jenny. We reckon he should too, Jenny. He sort of does with Clinchy. Clinchy's
I think it's probably from midnight till dawn.
I was going to say something after dark. You beat me to it. Jones for the Saints. Kicks towards Loney at half forward. Couldn't take it cleanly. Johannison could for the Dogs. Hand pass to Easton Wood. Tackle by Butler. Go. Williams, there's all sorts of possibilities there, isn't there? Hand pass to Bontempelli. Liberatore through the middle of the ground. Johannison dropped the mark. Loney couldn't take it cleanly. McRae with a good tackle. Carlisle surrounded by 3 Dogs trying to lock it in. Caulfield now slides in. Rook Smith over the top of him. Carlisle trying to break through. He taps it out onto the southern wing. Did his job. Got it to King. Here go the Saints. Away to Brad Hill. Tucks the footy under his arm. Takes the bounce. Keith kept chasing. Ran him down in the end. Gets the hand pass to Membry. Right half forward. Inside the 50. Where's Skeery? Here he is. He marks on his chest in front of Caleb Daniel.
I don't know why Caleb Daniel is getting sucked back to goal. We never see that. Any week, we never see Daniel getting, so we always see him just around that half-back line. But Geary is somehow sucking him back to the goal square, and Daniel, for some reason, is going with him.
Well, there's a reason for it, because they want to have that match-up, so they take him back there. He takes them back there. They all move up. He's on his own.
So 3 goals so far this season for the St Kilda captain. On 3 occasions, the Bulldogs have got out by a goal, and the Saints have answered. And Geary misses.
He poked at it.
To the right-hand side. So quarter time and the Dogs take a deep breath, leading by 5 points. 3-1-19 to the Saints, 2-2-14. For the Bulldogs, goals to Crozier, Bruce and Johannison. Meanwhile for the Saints, King and Membry. I didn't mean to put the moz on Geary. It just felt like a familiar pattern in the game.
Yeah, absolutely, Clinchy. You can only go with form. We try to sometimes and fail dismally. 0437 774 774 is the number if you want to get in touch. What do you make of it all? You're enjoying the coverage on Grandstand AFL later on this evening. West Coast and Collingwood in the other elimination final from Perth. Grant in Hobart has touched base. He says, "G'day Al, enjoying the call. Question, is there any St Kilda player in the side today who played in the last finals way back in 2011? Go Dogs," says Grant. There is. He just had a shot at goal. Jaron Geary is the only player who's played for St Kilda in a final, who's out there today. That was against Sydney, the elimination final back in 2011. Thanks for your question, Grant. I hope my Pies get up tonight, but right now I would love the Saints to win for Rats, says Yvonne in Melbourne. Stay tuned tonight. I'm sure you'll be listening, Yvonne. That's looming as another big clash on Grandstand AFL. The Pies up against the Eagles.
You know the other odd one who played in that final with Jaron Geary, a very young Easton Wood, was playing for the Western Bulldogs. So the only one of... only 2 of that brigade who are featuring in that final.
And Tim from Frankston North says, "Go Dogs." Good on you, Tim. 0437 774 774. I'll read a few more of your messages out very shortly. But at quarter time in the elimination final, high intensity again so far in this game. 3-1-19 the Western Bulldogs, the Saints 2-2-14. Wherever you're listening around the country or around the world, great to have you with us for finals football on Grandstand AFL, on ABC Radio and Grandstand Digital.
We are one, but we are many.
ABC Radio is here with you
When times are tough.
when you want to share your local stories and want to connect with your community.
We are your local voice.
ABC Radio is here with you.
We are Australia.
The 2020 AFL Finals Series
on ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
Tossed up, English and Ryder rises high, wins down the tap, straight to Liberatore. Rourke Smith for the Dogs. Half past the Bontempelli, kicks towards Wallace. Was Wilkie over the shoulder? He was. Has Bruce taken the advantage? He did. And the Dogs had the opening goal. He pumps the fist. Howard's long kick to the wing. Brad Hill's able to pick it up, gets it forward to Kent. Between wing and half forward, almost run down, just got the kick away. Long ball, Geary and Daniel. Geary takes the mark, beats the half pass away, and into the open goal goes Tim Membry. Long kick towards half forward. Caulfield almost did enough to claim the mark, not paid. Dunkley onto it for the Dogs. Good vision.
That's better.
Spotted Johannesson free. He marks directly in front. 40 metres from goal. A Norm Smith medalist in their premiership year. He's proven to be a goal scorer in recent weeks. Can he capitalise here? Yes, he can.
Low kick around the boundary was a good one to Marshall, who marks on his chest. Pinpoint from Hill. Marshall 60 out at right half forward. Long kick towards King, 1-on-1. Yes! Worked his way to the front on Eastonwood and took a fine mark at the top of the goal square. He comes in and he puts through his first goal in an AFL final.
The 2020 AFL Finals Series.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
The Western Bulldogs 3-1-19 lead St Kilda 2-2-14 at quarter time at the Gabba. Fran, I think it is in Melbourne. Hi, team, loving the call. It is getting me ready for tonight's game. Go Pies. Am I right, Matty? Not sure if you were calling any more games. I want to say thanks to absolutely everyone across the board for giving us this 2020 footy season. Thank you very much. We've absolutely loved bringing it to you. Tom in Sandringham, keep the king near the goal square. Great service from Butler. Great leaders in Captain Courageous Geary. Hanbury Hill, Carlisle and Zach Jones. Stick with them, Saints. Steele and Billings need to lift. Go Sainters, says Tom. Good on you, Tom. Thanks very much for your text on 0437 774 774. In the NRL today, the elimination final between the Raiders and the Sharks is getting underway in half an hour. And then it's the qualifying final tonight, the Melbourne Storm taking on the Parramatta Eels, with 12 players coming back into that Storm lineup from the team that played the last round match of the season. In women's cricket this afternoon, a convincing win for Australia over New Zealand in the first of the one days at Allan Border Field, set 181 to win. The Australian side got there in a canter. They chased down that victory target in 33.4 overs, 3 for 181. Haynes made 44 and Lanning 62 not out of 70. For Australia, the key wicket takers Wareham, Molyneux and Jonathan, all with 2 wickets, as Australia knocked over New Zealand for 180 in 49.1 overs. Quarter time here, the Dogs by 5 points. Your experts on Grandstand AFL are Mark McClure and Adam Ramanauskas.
Been a really interesting start and actually progressive start. They both kicked 2 goals. St Kilda kicked 2-2 and the Doggies kicked 3-1. And the statistics are so close in every part of the game. And when you have a look at it, 75 to 73 kicks, marks and handballs, inside 50s at 12-10. You know, that's in the way of St Kilda. And so they're not leading at this stage, they're just behind. All the stuff that you have a look at, the hit-outs, 10-2. This is one that worries me, English. English doesn't get his hands on the ball. He's getting absolutely smashed in the centre of the ground. I'd be surprised if English doesn't go forward and they put Dunkley in the middle to go on the ruck. It doesn't matter what they put in because the clearances are 7 each. So whoever wins the ruck, it does not matter. 7 each is the clearances. So they can actually change that, do some stuff, and then have English up there who can take a mark and move forward and kick a goal. So and have another tall in that area. So I just think there's some interesting parts of that game. The ball's been flying up and down the ground. I tell you, Long has got to look after himself a little bit better than he has. He's gone into trying to knock people rotten in the middle of the ground. He has history, and I think he'll get hit for the first one that he hit. He
can't get the second one. He hit his teammate.
Well, there could be a protest there, but no. But I agree. But he could get knocked over there. Yeah. So to me, I think he was just aimed at him. He didn't go for the tackle. He put it down and went bang, hit him with the shoulder right in the face. I think that was McRae, and it was that was a dangerous one. I think the Doggies are well set. But gee whiz, I'm a bit worried about the forward line of St Kilda, who can actually hurt you, Maxie King.
Well, a couple of concerns from both teams here. I don't think St Kilda are bringing the pressure. 5 tackles in that quarter to 18.
Yeah.
In the Dogs' favour, so they can't. That's not sustainable because that will be huge numbers then for the Dogs midfield. And if they're dominating through around the clearances, Libba was great that quarter with 3 clearances. That'll be very, very deep. The concern for the Dogs is Caleb Daniel and Jaron Geary. Daniel's had 8 possessions that quarter, but Geary took 2 marks very close to goal. He gave one off to Membry, and he should have kicked that one up after the siren. They need to work out a way of Daniel not getting sucked back so far, so deep in their defence.
And the Saints are down on contested ball as well. They're not down by much, but they're down on contested ball. If this keeps going, they'll have a large number ahead of them.
Dan in Horsham says, I've got that winning feeling. Go Dogs. 0437 774 774 if you want to get in touch. Second term underway. Dogs by 5 points. Knocked out of the middle by Ryder. Daniel and Liberatore collide. Ryder soccers it forward. Billings gets it. Hand pass missed the target. It's at centre half forward for St Kilda. Daniel takes possession. He's caught by Sinclair. A ball up. Patsy sent us a text. I hate football and I'm trapped in a car with Collingwood supporters who are listening to a game when they don't barrack for either team. Si says, Patsy, we'll convert you across the course of the next couple of hours. Just stick with us. Kick into the middle of the grounds, marked by Norton of the Dogs. Off to Hunter. He kicks to Lipinski at right half forward. First forward 50 entry of the term is a kick to the pocket over the head of Crozier. And it goes out of play 25 metres out from the Bulldogs' goal.
Another poor kick to an ordinary spot. When you kick it towards the boundary or one-on-one, it's just going to go over, and that's probably to get space and move it into their forward line and hold it in. But there's a dangerous one when you get to the top of the square.
Toss back in, Bruce and Ryder. Bruce had a hand to it but couldn't get a clean disposal away. Comes away of Hunter, gets the hand pass away to McRae, turns onto his left-hand side, kicks to Norton too to compete against Carlisle in from the side. And support from Howard takes the mark, 15 metres out from his defensive goal. Kick is wide of Caulfield, he gathers on the bounce. On defensive 50, Richards got a touch onto it. North to Rourke Smith, hard up against the boundary, kicks to the top of the goal square. Howard up, juggles the mark. As Bruce came late trying to spoil. Still on that last line for the Saints. Across the goal face to Wilkie. Looks for options out of defence and finds Sinclair.
Sinclair out to left half back, finds Rowan Marshall, who holds it up for a moment. Al just says on the text, good commentator Mark McClure, go Saints. And we're even getting suggestions now, Sellers, for a name for your radio show. The kick goes to the wing. Max King takes the mark. G'day, gents. Great call as usual. The name for Mark's radio show might be Mark's Magical Music Matinee, says Mark from away.
Well, from midnight to dawn.
Kick goes inside the 50. Dogs take possession. Dure away to Rourke Smith, and he clears to left half back. Dunkley's in possession for the Dogs. He comes infield. Kick hits the ground, but cleaned up by Daniel. Lovely kick into the middle, finds Hunter.
Held up by Rowan Marshall to prevent the hand pass, although he turns inboard with the hand pass to Daniel, who spots options.
Kick the goal.
Pushing forward, Gardner took the mark, eyed the goal, got the 45, kicked it off his shin. Bruce coming out, taps it to the advantage of Lipinski. His hand pass missed Norton. Howard in there. Hand pass to Hanbury under enormous pressure. Back to Sinclair. Norton late the tackle. Seb Ross on the defensive goal square. Your problem, Howard. Kicks out of the last line. Caulfield dropped the mark, did get it to Steele, and now to Patton. And now the Saints can take a breath. Hill works the hand pass back to Patton at half-back, and he hugs the boundary line with a kick to Tim Membry.
Membry on the Vulture Street wing, the broadcast side of the Gabba. The Bulldogs by 5 points through the first 3 minutes of this second term. Membry goes defensively, and Carlisle takes the mark. His partner Mel, 39 weeks pregnant back in Melbourne, so it remains to be seen if the Saints can win today, whether Jake Carlisle would be available to play next week. They work it around the Saints through Patton, now back to Membry, who marks defensive side of the wing now and goes all the way back to the defensive 50. Stewie Lowe was on earlier saying he didn't like this. Kicking the ball around at half-back. Caulfield's got it. And he comes back to Membry, missed him. Membry's got to take it on the bounce, kick backwards 30 metres. What are they doing here, Sellers?
I got no idea. Tell
Hunter
me.
Clark takes the mark on defensive 50. Stewie Lowe is swearing at the television, I reckon, at the moment.
Clark to centre half back. Sinclair dropped the mark under enormous pressure. He's able to regather it though and work it out to Wilkie at half back. Around the southern wing, Eastonwood takes the intercepting mark. He's got Bulldogs with their hands up in the middle of the ground. McRae and English. He goes to the shorter of the options. McRae on half back takes the mark.
Sometimes in a final, you just got to take your medicine down the line. Kick it down the line, out of bounds, get a restart, go again. You don't want to turn the ball over.
Dogs by 5 points. 4 minutes gone, second quarter. They weave it through the middle of the ground by foot to Hunter, who gets the hand pass to DeRay, back onto his right-hand side, loads up with a kick towards Richards, flew from the back, couldn't take the mark. Caulfield races back for the Saints. Carlo laid the block on Norton. Under pressure, the hand pass to Wilkie, and now to Patton. The Bulldogs are sweating on them. Rourke Smith lays the tackle, high up and under kick. Spoiled away from Hunter by Howard, and he sees it out of play. 50 metres out from the Bulldogs' goal.
Critical little stage here. Bulldogs are pushing hard to start this second quarter. So far, so good for the Saints, but they look a little bit shaky.
3 quarters time in Western Bulldogs' forward half in this term so far. Marshall takes it out of the ruck and bangs it on his boot to the wing to the AFL logo. Ryder playing in front, almost held the mark. He does get it, hands and knees. A hand pass to Butler, who breaks through the middle. Promising from the Saints. His hand pass hit the ground, but Hanbury got it and used it beautifully. All on his own. Membry directly in front, 35 from goal.
Just what you need. No, Ryder drops that mark, but the overlap run there is to support. No, Butler takes that handball and he's on the move. So there's options. Your forwards ahead are all moving. Hanbury, just perfect composure there going inside forward 50.
Tim Membry started his career as a Swan. He's playing in his first AFL final. He's already kicked 1 goal. And here presents a chance to put St Kilda in front for the first time today. On approach to the western end from 45 metres, Membry's kick away to the left. And they've wasted a couple. Geary, a bad one at the end of the first term, and Membry missing there from directly in front. It's the Western Bulldogs by 4 points at the 6-minute mark of the second term. That's the first score of the quarter.
Williams plays on for the Dogs. Long kick towards English, and Marshall did well.
They're pushing him out of the way now, English. It's becoming embarrassing almost. He can hardly get his hands on the ball.
Ryder did the majority of the rucky in the first quarter. You'd imagine Marshall will get his crack. He kicks to the pocket. Max King the target. Spoiled at the last moment by Williams, and out of play in the right forward pocket.
I don't want to be too hard on him, but he has to compete. He has to bring the ball to ground, English, or else he's not worth his weight.
And we'll go up here. King's going to do the rucking, and Keith's going to come in, the key defender. Or Bontempelli. Now this is going to be a third man up. It's going to be a St Kilda free kick.
Oh.
And running into the open goal is Loney, who capitalises on the mistake.
You nominated.
And the Saints are in front for the first time in the match.
I'll come in.
So what's happened here? They've got the nomination wrong.
Yeah, no, they
Keith
nominated.
put his hand up to go up, and Bontempelli, perhaps unaware of that, went up. Now, you'd imagine Bontempelli would do more of the rucking than Alex Keith, but it seems like they just didn't nominate to the umpire. So the Saints 3-3-21 to the Bulldogs 3-1-19.
Well, if the rule is if you get 2 up in the same area, you're in trouble, and that's how it should be. This is the call when you have a look at it. Keith puts his hand up, Bontempelli puts his hand up, and Keith put his hand up. Both of them at the same time, and guess what? Both of them he goes in front, and Keith's just supposed to go too. So that is a free kick. If you're going to put your hand up and you've got to nominate, you actually have to decide who is actually going to go.
This is a stupid rule.
It is a stupid rule. But you know what? They should throw it straight in, forget about who nominates, and if 2 go up, there's a free kick. It's so simple. There's one there, already done.
You think of all the hours in team meetings where this sort of stuff would be discussed.
What team meeting? Not for the boundary throwing stuff.
Tim English is not going in the ruck. They probably have a plan.
I don't think they had one.
English.
It was a bad one.
Little hand pass, Bailey Smith, Liberatore taken without it. As the Saints were going forward, it will be a Western Bulldogs free kick in the middle of the ground.
See, and that's a bad blue, because such a simple goal to get.
Tom Liberatore has been such a key part of everything the Bulldogs have done so far this season. Goes to Bontempelli. He kicks across the AFL logo to the wing. Dure. Now to half forward. Good kick towards Crozier on the lead. Howard, a good late spoil. Just stays in. Sellers. Sinclair gets it on the back flank. He's run down. Caught by Crozier. Gone. Holding the ball.
Thanks, fellas.
Crozier the free kick. 47 from goal. Hard angle to the left.
They've been doing this all day so far. That's 22 tackles now to 6. You look at Crozier. He just comes in with speed. Sinclair unaware of where he is.
He's in range there, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, well, his last kick in that first quarter, he covered the distance easy from a similar spot.
Hayden Crozier enjoying his time up forward. In an elimination final, he's kicked 1 goal. This for his second. Kick on its way. Going slightly across the face away to the right. Just a little bit of a draw on that from the left-footed Hayden Crozier. And the Bulldogs trail by a point on Grandstand AFL at the 9.5-minute mark of the second quarter.
Dougal Howard plays on for the Saints, looks to half-back, kicks towards Marshall. A little nudge from Cordy, worked him underneath the footy. English gathers for the Dogs. Looks to kick inside the 50 towards Wallace. Howard came, made the spoil, chopped the arms. And Mitch Wallace will take the free kick, hard up against the boundary in the right forward pocket. Dougal Howard tries to plead his case.
I don't think there's any chance that you're going to beat the umpire here, Dougal.
Get on with it. Get on with it.
Just get up and move on.
That thing hasn't changed.
There's no protest system in AFL football.
15 gone.
So Mitch Wallace, the Western Bulldogs' leading goal kicker in season 2020. Missed the fairy tale run in season 2016. Hard up against the boundary. They get much tougher than this. Wallace threads the needle. How do you like that? The Bulldogs answer back, and they're back in front by 5 points. 4-2-26 to St Kilda, 3-3-21. What a classy finish from the former midfielder, now a genuine forward.
Yeah, well, Mitch Wallace is a star. That kick from there is almost impossible for right-footed, but he hit the right side of the ball and it actually went left to right like a slice. Yeah. I've only ever seen Peter McKenna do stuff like that at will. This guy's still got some talent, even with his broken leg and everything else that's happened to him. But Dougal Howard, this is an interesting one.
He's hit the ball.
He didn't actually hit the ball at all. He hit the man and didn't have a chance to go at the ball. It was easily a free kick. But to argue, it was just a waste of time, my man. And the goal comes through. Mitchie Wallace, what a kick from that side of the ground. Hardest spot in the ground to kick from. Incredible.
Sellers and Clinchy did a great interview with Steve Wallace, his father, earlier today, former Footscray captain, where he talked about Mitch wanting to play a role for the team and conversations with Luke Beveridge about playing forward and who should he model his game on. And Bevo said, just be yourself.
Correct.
And he's doing a very good job of contributing to this Bulldog side. Zach Jones lost it in the middle of the ground for the Saints, allowing McRae to get the clearance. Back with a flight. Caulfield dropped the mark. Crozier almost held without it. Now he's over the ball. They swarm on top of him. It rumbles out the back of the pack. Rourke Smith gets it off to Johannisen. Hand pass away. Bontempelli on his left. Floating kick from 40 out. Dropped by Carlisle in the goal square. He gives to Howard. You have this problem. Howard gets out of the problem. A clearing kick to the back flank goes through the hands of Cordy. Jones picks up one-handed, pursued by Daniel and caught. Got a hand pass away on the wing to Kent. Kent a bounce and takes on Bontempelli. Audacious and successful. Then he kicked it out on the full. Hunter continued to pursue him and put that pressure on Rammer. A free kick to the Western Bulldogs. Left half-back. They lead by 5 points.
Some stage he must work on your right foot.
So he looked over his shoulder, saw Bontempelli, said, you won't catch me. Lockie Hunter, he'll catch most. So Kent long inside the 50. King against a couple. Couldn't take the mark. Williams dives on the footy. Hand pass to Dunkley. High kick out of the defensive 50. Bontempelli marks on his chest. The Bulldogs skipper has it at left half-back with his side leading by 5 points. He's going to switch play.
It's a good kick.
A ripper.
Back inside the defensive 50 to Keith. Gets the hand pass away to Gardner. Looks up and Richards has a couple of metres space on Billings. He hits the pass and marks just in front of the bench. Inboard to DeRay, who gathers on the bounce. His toe poke is a little bit casual as well. Rourke Smith gathers, wants to come back into the corridor. McRae takes the mark. He can turn and play on. Looks to half forward. Bullet pass to Johannisen. The Dogs moving the ball with confidence. Hand pass back to Bontempelli. Kicks into the pocket to the leader, Bruce. It's sat in the air a moment. Ryder in defence, spoils it down. Hunter gathers, back to Bruce. Tackled by Ryder. Ball comes clear. And Hunter Clark gathers. Hand pass to a stationary Howard. He feeds the hand pass to Caulfield. Short pass to Sinclair, and the Saints are out of defence.
Tell you what, Dougal Howard at the moment's getting the ball in some awkward positions, but he's getting out of them. It's well played. So the Saints off the half-back flank. Butler finds Geary on the wing. He's on the Vulture Street side of the Gabba ground in Brisbane. The Dogs by 5 points. Kick to the wing. Keith edged out his opponent, King, and takes the mark.
Well, that's what Max King doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to get in a wrestle with Alex Keith. Because Keith's obviously older and stronger. King needs to continue to jump at the ball. Keith won't be able to go with him in the air.
Keith to Williams. Both those players playing their first finals. Keith had played the last 6 games of the home and away season in 2017, but was dropped for the finals, and an emergency on grand final day for the Crows. The Dogs switch it to right half back. Gardner's kick, a dangerous one out of the fence, but Bailey Smith got there to spoil it away from Hunter Clark. Rove by Hanbury. It's coming back. Penetrating kick to the pocket. Membry! A gully-like catch at the gather as he dives near the boundary line to pull it in. He's about 40 out. He's on a hard angle in the left forward pocket. Can Tim Membry thread the needle like Mitch Wallace? He's a bit further out. This will be his 3rd shot at goal. He's kicked 1 goal, 1 so far. His eyes start around a fraction. He assesses the options and sees nothing on offer. So it's going to be the shot at goal. Jonathan Brown used to love kicking them from here near the race. He wheels out. He can't pull it back enough. It's right across the face of goal. King! Launched in the pack and clutched it to the upper region of his chest. To the edge of the goal square. Oh, every moment you see King fly for the ball and take marks like that, you wonder just how damaging this youngster could be to put the Saints in front for his 2nd goal. And he roars at the crowd, and they roar back at him. He is raw, but he's got so much potential. St Kilda by a point on Grandstand AFL. We've played almost 16 minutes of the 2nd term. The Saints 4-3-27, the Dogs 4-2-26.
And there's the perfect example. In the previous contest with Keith, it's body on body. They're wrestling. He's not ready for that. He's not physically ready for that yet, Max King. The next contest, he stands off. He gets a running start, jumps at the football in the air, and nobody can go with him. He's 202 centimetres. He's a massive young man already, but he's only going to get stronger. So that's got to be now. That's got to be his reference point for the remainder of this game. Continue to jump at the football. Don't wrestle. Don't get into those type of contests with any of the Bulldogs defenders, because if he runs and jumps, they can't go with him in the air.
Zane Cordy to the bench with a bit of a foot problem.
Yeah, he's got an ankle or something.
And the physio and the doctor having a look at his left foot, and the boot will come off. So that's a concern for the Bulldogs. The Saints back in front by a point. Ryder and English. Ryder wins down the tap. Dunkley trying to knock it on for the Dogs. Ryder gets a toe poke in the centre square towards half forward. Geary gathers. Hand pass to Steele to the run of Hanbury. Kicks inside the 50. Awkward bouncing ball. Norton. Marshall knocked it down. Gets it to the advantage of Keith. Up and under. Kick to half back. English flying through. Dropped the mark though. Geary with the hand pass. Feeds it to Ross. Under pressure. Threw it on the boot. And misses to the left-hand side. St Kilda's lead is 2 points at the 17-minute mark of the 2nd term.
Cordy getting further work on the interchange bench and looks in some discomfort. Williams kicks into Gardner. Gardner very short to the left back pocket. And McRae. How many possessions for Jackson McRae? Clinchy?
7.
His usual high tally. He plays on here and kicks out towards the Vulture Street wing. Ryder knocked it down. Bailey Smith's hand pass. Slap down. Ryder picks up. Kick smothered by Hunter. Flicked out of the pack. Dunkley to Rourke. Smith off to Hunter. High ball around the wing. Wallace one-on-one opposed to Wilkie. Wilkie edged him out. Couldn't mark. Bruce took him without the ball. Free kicks and Kilda. Defensive side of the Vulture Street wing. Saints by 2 points. 18-minute mark of the 2nd.
Wilkie goes back to the defensive 50 where Caulfield takes the mark to Hanbury, who's running hot with possession number 12. Into the middle of the crowd, risky kick for Steele. From the other direction to Ray. Onto it, Bailey Smith. Hand pass to Norton. He works it over the top to Liberatore. Here go the Dogs. McRae by hand to Lipinski. One hand pass too many. Billings, great tackle. Hanbury with a hand pass to Clark. Back to Wilkie. The Saints are out of defence with a kick to half back, and Loney takes the mark. He can work it over the top to the outer side. With a long kick towards Marshall. Couldn't quite take the mark. Williams in from the side. Little toe poke from Brad Hill. Kept it alive. Kent toe pokes it back to Hill. Hand pass inboard. Looking for Steele. Couldn't gather. Ross onto it. Feeds the hand pass to Loney on 50. To a vision. Looked for an option and Paddy Ryder was leading towards him. He takes the mark in the left forward pocket.
Yep.
35 metres out from goal.
There's a time to get it to the top of the goal square. There's a time to lower your eyes and find your leading forwards. Ryder there in really good position. Led at the eyes of Jack Loney. Just dropped it in a little 25-metre pass inside forward 50.
He's kicked a goal in each of his past 4 games. Paddy Ryder starts on the angle, steps out, curls it superbly. Paddy Ryder pumps his fist and celebrates with Ben Long and Brad Hill. And the Saints are out by 8 points. And that'll be one of the challenges of Ryder and Marshall to try and get forward on English and make him pay on the scoreboard. The Saints 5-4-34 to the Dogs 4-2-26. We're playing 19 minutes in the second quarter. The Saints with 3-1 in this term.
They certainly have 3-1's the key, but that came from Marshall. A little tap in on the boundary. No one actually sees it, but a little tap in from the boundary line when it comes down there, and all of a sudden they start to run the ball up there. This is it here. When he gets to Mark, that's Membry. The next one down is the one.
Look at the run by Hill.
Here's Marshall. He comes there. All of a sudden, he gets one here. Underneath, he backs it back in. All of a sudden, they get a chance again. That's the key. The little moments in this game are different. And all of a sudden, they just get a chance. They put it in the right spot. Little chip inside. Paddy Ryder takes an easy one. But that comes from Marshall not letting it go over the line and pulling it back in.
Oh, that run. Brad Hill was inside defensive 50. When that ball switched play, and then to get all the way down the other end of the ground, that's a great work rate.
St Kilda's biggest lead. English out of the middle, though, gave to Rourke Smith. Jams it on his boot inside the 50. Punched down by Patton of St Kilda. Herring onto it, Lipinski. Hand pass just missed Bruce. Patton gets it. Gives to Clark. Bruce a good tackle, but Clark able to shrug him off strong through the hips. His dangerous kick. Oh, Membry almost marked it against Richards, who had a chance as well. Knocked towards Sinclair, caught by Rourke Smith. Clark gets it. He's caught by Norton, just got boot to ball in the pocket. Caulfield now, cool with his hand pass to Billings, who measures it out of defence and measured it perfectly. Geary Marks. Hand pass releases Jones.
Here are the Saints trying to use their speed. The kick towards King, who's got a couple of metres on Keith. He marks it left half forward. Marshall's put forward. Long kick towards Hill. He goes up against McRae. Couldn't take the mark. Loney crumbs it. Hand pass to Steele. Sidesteps. Liberatore eyes the goals and flares it out to the right. Missed by a fair way as well. Out of bounds on the full. The Saints with the biggest lead of the match. 8 points. It hasn't been that much of a margin between the two throughout the opening quarter and a half.
Williams brings the ball back in. A big crowd in at the Gabba, but a big atmosphere. Wood flies, can't mark. Carlisle had it tackled, dispossessed. Rourke Smith off to Bailey Smith. Hand pass, Bontempelli missed it first time, got it second time off to Johannesson. Cuts a line with a little shimmy like a slalom skier, and he goes into the middle of the ground. Crozier takes it near centre half back. He goes wide. Gardner provides the run. From the wing, Stanley Street side kicks to Richards. He's 60 from goal at right half forward for the Dogs. Moves it quickly. Low ball onto the chest of Wallace. He's at about the extent of his range. 47 from goal, 45-degree angle to the right. Zane Cordy is being provided with crutches. So his day is done. The Bulldogs premiership player from 2016, a key defender for them, out of the game with a lower leg injury. Saints by 8 points. Seconds ticking down towards half-time. The ball in the hands of the Dogs' leading goal kicker, Mitch Wallace. He'll have to kick it more than 50 metres. And he's missed on the right-hand side.
He got the distance all right.
He did. A 7-point lead to the Saints at half-time of the elimination final at the Gabba. St Kilda 5-4-34. The Western Bulldogs 4-3-27. The Saints with 3 goals, 2 to 1 goal, 2 in that second term. The goal kickers for the Saints in the contest so far. Ryder and Membry and Loney have a goal, and Max King, playing in his first final, is the only multiple goal kicker on the ground. He's kicked a couple. The Western Bulldogs, Wallace has kicked a goal, Bruce has kicked a goal, and Johannesson has kicked a goal. Mick says, great call, gents. Tell sellers we can't see the replays while we're mulching the garden. We'll create the word pictures for you, Mick. 0437 774 774. Great call, gents. That's from another Mick. Thank you, Mick, for your text message. As always, great chemistry with you guys. I just love it. As a kid, I watched Mark McClure, and he's still as robust as he's always been. His radio show, maybe a late-night metal show would be cool. Thanks, boys, and keep up the good work, says Rob in Perth. Michael in Wyndham Vale, if Mark was going to do a midnight till dawn radio show, you would call it Midnight Blue. All the stories about the Carlton shenanigans that could never be told in the daytime, says Michael. We like that, Michael. Thank you very much. 0437 774 774. And Ellie sent this a little earlier from Perth. Great call thus far, gentlemen. I hope you're wrong, however, and that my beloved Saints get themselves together and finish winners. They have themselves together. The longer that quarter went on, Elliot looked highly encouraging for your side. St Kilda 5-4-34. The Dogs 4-3-27 at half-time with Rammer and Sellers to sum things up.
Well, Rammer, they look more dangerous that quarter, the Saints. They have those King and the run through the middle of the ground. Jones with real speed, run and carry. Hanbury with lots of ball in his hand. Those sorts of things around the place. Wilkie and Clark down back just working really hard. I like what they're doing. I mean, Ross and, look, Howard not there, but Sinclair and those sort of guys, that they are moving the ball and they're not stopping. They take a mark and roll and away they go, and they're catching the opposition out. The Doggies have made a few blues around the place, and English has started to get a bit... I think he's got a rocket up at one stage because he actually started to contest there in the second half of that quarter. But it wasn't good enough because 3-1, it's a big turnaround in a short game with shortened quarters and not much score.
So the speed's starting to worry the Bulldogs now. Obviously that quarter, what they were trying to do, they were trying to get the ball to the open side of the ground. Whichever side of the ground that was, they wanted to switch and they wanted to use their run and carry. The Bulldogs' pressure through the middle has been great. Their tackle count, it's 25-10 in their favour. That's a little bit of a concern for the Saints in itself. Only 10 tackles in a final is not enough. And you look at the top of the stat sheet, it's Lockie Hunter, Bailey Smith, Rourke Smith, Bontempelli, Libba. So all their midfielders are getting plenty of the ball. I think St Kilda need to apply a little bit more pressure through the middle part of that ground. The Dogs are going to work out a way to slow the Saints down at the moment. When they're getting run, because what's happening is when they are running, when they get past centre, the Dogs are not back. They haven't reset their defence. So they're going into their forward line and they're getting those one-on-one matchups. So you look...
King.
Max King, obviously, with a couple of goals. Ryder with that little pass to Loney. Yep. So the Dogs' mids just can't get back quick enough because of the speed. And I'm talking the speed of Brad Hill, Zach Jones. Hanbury was very good that quarter. But I want to make special mention of St Kilda's defenders that quarter. I thought Hunter Clark was brilliant. It was a little bit unconventional at times what he was doing with the football, but he got him out of jail a couple of times. Howard, you mentioned it. Here, handball, it's your problem, Dougal. You fix it up for us. Wilkie, he's another one that just got the ball, and it's like a hot potato.
I agree.
But it somehow worked for him in that second quarter where the Dogs had a lot of play in their forward line, but they couldn't score. So 9 inside 50s to St Kilda, 10 to the Bulldogs, but no impact out of Norton. No impact out of Josh Bruce in that quarter.
Mitch Wallace, the only one.
It was only Mitch Wallace and Crozier that looked dangerous in the Dogs' forward line. So they're going to find some winners. The Bulldogs fall to the ball.
So the Bulldogs' pressure in their forward 50 has been excellent.
Yeah.
But the Saints have absorbed it. The question is with Cordy now out, do they have to move Crozier potentially back to defence, or how can they try and bring that run and dash from their half back as opposed to what St Kilda have been doing?
So, yeah, with Cordy out, so Easton Wood now is going to have to play on that second taller forward. So whether that's Marshall or Ryder when they float down.
Yeah.
So it's the Membry matchup that's probably the most interesting now. Who goes to Membry? Is it Gardner? I think Membry's too quick for him. I would switch Wood onto Membry and then Gardner, have him playing on either Ryder or Marshall when they're down there. Keith's just got to beat King. Simple as that. There's no other option.
Do you want to use Wood as a rebound, or do you want to use Wood as a stick stopper?
I want to use him as an interceptor.
Well, that's what you don't. You put him on Marshall then, because you run off those blokes.
Yeah. But I think Marshall's going to be a bit too big for him in those marking contests. The other issue that the Dogs have, and Sellers and I spoke about this before the game, Daniel and Johannesson with their run and carry off half back. Johannesson's played forward. I think they need to take him back, because what's happening is Gardner is the one that's been getting the ball and carrying it through the lines. He's not a great kick. They need Daniel, or they need Johannesson with the ball in there, or Crozier. As you said, maybe it's time to take Crozier back and let him use the ball, because that's one of their great strengths, as we mentioned before the game, how they can run and carry. The Saints, they've just got to go. They've got to keep the pedal to the absolute metal. In the start of this third quarter, when they're fresh again, 20 minutes off, regain your senses, regain your legs and go for it again. Try to break the game open in the first 10 minutes of this third quarter.
Yeah, they're vulnerable to do that, the Doggies. They can fall apart when they haven't got the ball in their hands with Hunter and Libber and Bontempelli. They're the three ball carriers and movers of the ball. So if you keep them under control and you continue to pound it into the forward line and get uncontested marks like King has, you're in big trouble. You're in real big trouble.
He looks like he's still growing, 202 centimetres. And then all of a sudden you put Membry and then Ryder, who can push forward, or Marshall. It can create some headaches for the Bulldogs if they can keep getting the ball inside their 50 in that manner.
Another 3 or 4 years when Kings put another 5 or 6 kilos on, he's going to be a scary proposition for opposition.
So 2 goals to half-time in his first final, Max King, and St Kilda leads 5-4-34 to the Western Bulldogs, 4-3-27, a margin of 7 points at the half-time break. Stacks of your messages coming in on 0437 774 774. Apologies if we don't get to yours. Gregor and Simone are sitting by the fire pit at home in Boysdale in Gippsland. Thanks to ABC Grandstand for the AFL season, enjoying the call. Thank you for texting in. If the Saints can't get the first goal, look out, says Grumpy Bomber in Clayton in Victoria. Christine from Benalla goes Sainters and Sellers. Yeah. Jenny in Essendon has really started something on the SMS.
I don't think
suggesting that you need your own radio show.
Tell Jenny, please, I admire her thinking of me, but you've got to have some ability, Jenny.
You'd be brilliant.
Oh, well,
you've already declared that it'll be a late night show, so let's put that back on the table.
What
for people who weren't
about
listening
3 to 5 in the morning?
I haven't retired you from your Saturday work yet. We haven't finished the season.
I thought that was his show, Clinton.
It is.
Quietly. All of a sudden, it's Midnight Madness with McClure. How about a home remedy show for Sellers? Mark's McCures.
What's that? I've been Mark Manure. I know that.
If Mark McClure hosted his own TV show, it would have to be filmed at Norton's.
Yes, it would.
And if anyone had an issue with that, Sellers, you could just find another pub, says Jake from Brunswick.
I'm actually with you.
That's that.
We can always go to the Fenwick any time you like.
We've got some brilliant listeners. 0437 774 774. It's half-time here at the Gabba, and 5-4-34 the Saints with a 7-point lead over the Western Bulldogs, 4-3-27. We'll have the latest edition of ABC News and then more action from the Gabba.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Conflicting accounts are emerging of the condition of US President Donald Trump, who's being treated for COVID-19 at a military hospital outside of Washington, D.C. Larry Buttrose reports.
Initially, the administration said Mr. Trump and his wife Melania would stay at the White House following their diagnosis. But less than a day later, Mr. Trump was transferred by helicopter to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, and doctors have administered him with the antiviral remdesivir and what's being called an experimental antibody cocktail. While the White House has continued to describe his symptoms as mild, US network CNN is reporting a Trump advisor says the situation is serious. CNN's chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta has tweeted the president is very tired and having trouble breathing.
Meanwhile, the US president shared an update about his health from the military hospital where he's been admitted. In a post on Twitter, Donald Trump writes, "Going well, I think. Thank you to all. Love." The Australian Defence Force says it's prioritising its resources towards urgent national priorities following criticism from the Queensland government this morning. Jake Kiernan reports.
The ADF has confirmed that 110 personnel tasked to Western Australia are not the same personnel who are assisting at the Queensland and New South Wales border. It comes following Queensland Deputy Premier Stephen Miles' comments today, claiming it was time for the Prime Minister to stop using defence as a political bargaining chip. Mr Miles accused the federal government of lying to state after troops were deployed to WA to help with border measures. In a statement to the ABC, the Australian Defence Force says there are currently no personnel providing border support to WA. It says troops have deployed to Western Australia to support hotel quarantine compliance tasks due to the increased passenger caps and the number of Australians expected to return home.
Victoria Police are stepping up patrols at beaches after large crowds gathered at the St Kilda foreshore flouting coronavirus restrictions. The Premier Daniel Andrews blasted the beachgoers, saying not wearing masks or socially distancing puts people's lives at risk. The City of Port Phillip also warned it will close St Kilda Beach if people continue to break the law. Victoria's Chief Health Officer Brett Sutton says the rules are important and must be followed for the well-being of all Victorians.
They're not easy. It's been a very, very long haul. Many people are fatigued by it. But if the numbers today and the numbers in recent days aren't proof positive that they're exactly the things that have gotten us to this point, I don't know what is.
New South Wales Police say Strike Force Irabella will investigate serious allegations against a former South Sydney Rabbitohs player. Alison Shaw with the details.
The police's organised crime unit has set up a strike force following claims of domestic violence and drug use by Sam Burgess, published in the Australian newspaper. Rabbitohs head coach Wayne Bennett says he first heard the claims in the last 24 hours.
Right now, I'm not going to respond to allegations. I'm sure the club's not, and I'm sure the NRL aren't.
Sam Burgess has denied all allegations.
The State Emergency Service say it may be a few days before a dam at Torquay on Victoria's surf coast will be safe enough for nearby residents to return home. About 150 people have been evacuated from their homes on Pintail Drive because of fears a 180 megalitre dam on a neighbouring private property may burst. Authorities are slowly pumping water out of the dam. Resident Daniel Moore says he noticed water pooling in his backyard yesterday and called emergency services.
We've only been here for a year and a bit, so yeah, we are worried. But said fingers crossed it was just backyard damage rather than stuff that got into the slab and the foundation and everything else.
Residents near Cooktown are being urged to leave immediately as Queensland Fire and Emergency Services continue to battle a bushfire in the state's far north. The bushfire is travelling on both sides of Oakey Creek Road and is expected to impact multiple properties in the surrounding area. Authorities say the large uncontrolled fires also burning in the vicinity of Ironwood Avenue. Emergency services are urging residents who are not in the area to stay away as conditions are too dangerous. And Germany is today celebrating the 30th anniversary of its reunification. It marks the date when West Germany and Communist East Germany formally reunited into one country. Germany was divided during the Cold War that followed World War II. The nation's dual identity made manifest in the Berlin Wall that was finally opened up in late 1989 and demolished in the following years. Commemorations are low-key because of COVID-19. This is ABC News.
Yours to stream on ABC iView. Full seasons of premium drama, including The Split.
What are you doing? It's called calculated risk. Or lying.
Operation Buffalo.
You have or have had a spy here.
I'd walk away and steer clear of Maralinga for the rest of your lives.
And The Accident.
It was a gas explosion?
There were people inside.
What?
Kids.
Full seasons of premium drama. Yours to stream free on ABC iView.
The 2020 AFL Finals Series.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
King's going to do the rucking and Keith's going to come in, the key defender. Or Bontempelli. Now this is going to be a third man up. It's going to be a St Kilda free kick. And running into the open goal is Loney, who capitalises on the mistake. Blish gathers for the Dogs. Looks to kick inside the 50 towards Wallace. Howard came, made the spoil, chopped the arms. Mitch Wallace will take the free kick. Hard up against the boundary in the right forward pocket. Hard up against the boundary. They get much tougher than this. Wallace threads the needle. How do you like that?
And Tim Membrick thread the needle like Mitch Wallace. Jonathan Brown used to love kicking them from here near the race. He wheels out, he can't pull it back enough. It's right across the face of goal. King! Launched in the pack and clutched it to the upper region of his chest for his second goal.
Kent topos it back to Hill. Half pass inboard, looking for Steele, couldn't gather. Ross onto it, feeds the half pass to Loney on 50. Good vision. Looks for an option and Paddy Ryder was leading towards him. Paddy Ryder starts on the angle, steps out, curls it superbly.
The 2020 AFL Finals Series.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
Hope you're enjoying the coverage wherever you're listening around the country or around the world. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio on the national broadcaster. The elimination final between the Western Bulldogs and St Kilda. It's the Saints by 7 points at the halftime break. 5-4-34 to 4-3-27. The Canberra Raiders have just scored a try against the Cronulla Sharks through 9 minutes of that match in Canberra. It's the Raiders leading 4 points to 2. I'd suspect there's a kick to come for the Raiders. Joseph Tapine has just scored. So kick to come, 4-2 Raiders over the Sharks. And later on today, it's the qualifying final between the Melbourne Storm and the Parramatta Eels. In the netball today, the Super Netball, the Melbourne Vixens, the minor premiers, have progressed to the grand final with a convincing win over the Sunshine Coast Lightning, 63 to 47. And in women's cricket today, Australia won the first of the ODIs against New Zealand at Allan Border Field in convincing fashion. New Zealand batted first, made 180, dismissed in 49.1 overs. Australia 3 for 181, chased down the victory target in 33.4 overs. With Meg Lanning 62 not out of 70 balls. Rachel Haynes made 44. Earlier with the ball, it was the spinners who did the damage for Australia again. Wareham, Molyneux and Jonathan all picked up 2 wickets. 0437 774 774 is the number you can make contact with us on. Send us a text. Let us know your name and where you're listening. I'm listening to the call from Canberra Hospital and hope the Saints win the Savo and the Pies tonight. All good here. Thanks, says Peter. Well, all the best to you, Peter. Hope you're enjoying the call with us this afternoon. Mike in Kyneton, thanks boys, enjoying every minute as always. 3 top finals and 3 ripper calls. I don't bother with TV anymore. Even if I sync your call, I can't stand the visuals. Too much BS, says Mike in Kyneton. Mike, great to have you listening to our commentary. We'll have all the finals, of course, across the next few weeks on Grandstand AFL live and commercial free, including tonight's clash. And we'll get a preview later on. West Coast and Collingwood playing in another elimination final. Mickey G says top shelf call, gentlemen, go Saints. And Kate in Bustleton in WA, she's a Pies supporter, wants the Saints to win for Molly, she says. Yep, Molly Meldrum, another big St Kilda fan. Heard from Shane Warne earlier today on the program with Quincy and Sellers, and Eric Banner's another. They've got some high-profile fans, the Saints, around the place. John sent a text from Jumbunna. He's listening to the call on his dad's old radiogram from the 70s. Crystal clear.
Perfect.
Things made well last, Sellers.
Was that a crystal set?
No, it's an old radiogram, yeah. Crystal clear from the 70s. Thanks, John.
That's your vintage, isn't it? Come on, Mark.
A crystal set.
I would know what a crystal set was, but I think a crystal gram. What did she say?
A radiogram.
Oh, tell me, what is that?
You can do a segment on your radio show.
I don't know how Virginia puts up with you.
She doesn't.
0437 774 774. And Rami, you'll like this. Ash from Ulverston in Tasmania, God's country on the northwest coast. In the tractor, working up Spud ground, listening to the footy. By the way, get on the Jack Jumpers, says Ash.
Jack Jumpers.
The new Tassie team in the NBL.
Be careful,
Actually,
they might jump in the tractor with it.
I
reckon it's got a bit of a ring to it.
If Ash hasn't been bitten by a Jack Jumper working the Spuds before, I would be highly surprised. Mark McClure, Adam Ramanaskas, what are you expecting in this second half? In the elimination final, it's all on the line for the Dogs and the Saints lead by 7.
Well, the Bulldogs have got 2 blokes up forward called Norton and Bruce, who've had 2 possessions each. And that is atrocious. English is another one for mine who hasn't competed well. Started to get a little bit more, but you need to show something. You want to get back into this game? You want to start to lead this game? You want to start to get in front and start to play next week? Pick yourself up. And there's one of them on the screen right now, is Norton. He's had 2 touches and Bruce has had 2. And that's not good enough in a game like this. You need to have some sort of impact. I don't care if you knock someone over or do whatever you do, but make some impact in this game, because otherwise you're going down, doggies.
They're going to go hard early, the Saints, in this third quarter. Try put some space on the Bulldogs and make them chase them home.
So second half ready to get underway. It's the Saints leading by 7 points.
Here we go.
English and Ryder to do battle in the middle of the ground. Beautiful straight bounce, which Ryder wins down the tap. Gets it at the advantage of Ross. Hand pass to Steele, who's slipped over. English tries to put his big frame in there. Can't bustle his way clear.
Thanks, boys.
As he's tackled by Steele and Ross. And the umpire will do it all once more.
10, Paddy. Thanks,
Just
mate.
the outer of the 2 centre circles in the middle of the Gabba. Tossed up, Ryder wins down the tap towards Jones. Bontempelli got a knock onto it to Bailey Smith. Hand pass away to Hunter and back to Bontempelli. drives the Dogs to half forward. Howard in front position. Takes the mark again in front of Bruce.
Got led to the ball again, Bruce.
Howard at right half back for the Saints. Told to play on. Kicks around the Stanley Street wing. Pack of about 4. Wood and Bontempelli in at off hands over the boundary.
I think the Bulldogs are controlling the midfield okay. I would consider putting Bontempelli forward for the first 10 minutes of this quarter. Just see if he can get you a goal or two or create a goal or two. Because they are struggling inside their forward 50, the Dogs.
English and Ryder. Ryder a clear win. Bontempelli gets it though. Hand pass off to Daniel. Daniel from the edge of the square. Thumps it towards the 50. Back with a flight. Howard went with courage. Didn't mark but pursues it at ground level and collects for St Kilda at fullback. And brings it out to the half-back flank to Billings. Perfectly weighted Sellers. Billings ran back with the flight of the ball. Kicks around the boundary line, Vulture Street side, and Membry's up to mark in front of Easton Wood. Just repeating, Zane Cordy out of the game with a lower leg injury. He's on crutches, sustained the injury in the second term, so a key man down in defence for the Dogs.
Membry veers out to the right, long kick towards half forward. King in the pack, couldn't take the mark. Johannesson gathers for the Dogs, and Bailey Williams taken over the line. And a boundary throw in.
Lou in Richmond says, Sellers, a radiogram is a portable record player with radio included. Get a bit of vinyl going as well.
I don't need one, mate.
You got your crystal set?
Steptoe and Son's got him, I suppose, has he? Steptoe?
I have no idea what you're talking about. That's so unusual. Ryder flicked it over the back to Long. Kicks inside the 50. Spoiled away from Marshall. Gardner with a definitive fist towards the boundary line. DeRay tried to keep it in play, tangling with Butler, and in the end it rolls over the line.
So those matchups now with Cordy gone, it looks like it's Wood and Membry. Gardner then gets either Ryder or Marshall, and obviously who stays with Norton? Oh, Keith stays with Norton.
English slots it down for the Dogs. Long onto it on hands and knees. The hand pass to Jones, intercepted by Daniel. Quick hand pass to Bailey Smith. Missed his target. Steele, tackled by Bontempelli. Comes clear to Billings. Quick hand pass to Ryder. Hacks a kick inside the 50. And Membry reaches up to take the mark. Easton Wood out of position. And Tim Membry in the left forward pocket will kick from 35 metres out.
And that's the danger of Easton Wood and Tim Membry. Easton Wood will always look to take the most aggressive position he can because he wants to intercept Mark. There, the ball just simply went over his head and he didn't have any coverage behind. Membry takes an easy mark inside forward 50.
He didn't play back shoulder, mate.
That's right.
He played in front of him and he got
wants
caught.
To be aggressive.
Yeah.
1-1 for Tim Membry this afternoon. He comes in, hits it well, drives it home. And the Saints throw down the challenge to start the second half. They're out by 13 points. 6-4-40 to the Dogs, 4-3-27. The biggest lead of the match at the 4-minute mark of the third term on Grandstand AFL with Adam Ramanaskas and Mark McClure.
Oh, it's a significant break, and all of a sudden you see where they're setting up. And Easton Wood, who's an experienced defender, and we all understand he played in the grand final, he's been captain of this club. You can't play. You like to play in front of that, but when there's a chaos ball comes in and you get caught in front and Membry just takes an easy one behind you, you must play back shoulder. You must play on his shoulder. That's it, nowhere else, especially when there's a ball up in the boundary thrown. Didn't happen. Membry marked it. Game over. Not game over, but goal.
So the Saints making a move, and their fans inside the Gabba are growing in excitement. And with their output, the decibels are rising. The Saints have kicked the last 3 goals in this game. And the Dogs have a serious challenge ahead of them. English up against Ryder in the middle of the ground. English goes early. Ryder wins it down. Bontempelli tried to soccer. Knocked off it by Ryder. Coming through Sinclair. Got a hand pass away. Saints go forward off the boot of Ross. Membry dropped at chest mark. McRae gets it off to Williams. Williams a hand pass to Bailey Smith at centre half back. Kicks to the wing. Richards there with Patton. The ball gets past that pair. Rourke Smith comes in for the Dogs. Little hand pass to Richards. Measures his kick. English a target. Presents and marks. 70 from goal at right half forward. Open forward line, but he delays moving it. He kicks laterally. Rourke Smith marks top of the 50. Hand pass Lipinski. He kicks to full forward. It was touched on the way through. Dunkley, great pick up. Snaps and scores. A swivel and a finish to delight Dog fans. Their first goal of the second half's a beauty. And the lead is 7 points again to the Saints. 6-4-40 St Kilda. The Bulldogs 5-3-33, 5 played, third term.
It was much better. It was much better ball movement by the Dogs. They got out really wide. They were right out the boundary on centre wing. Then English is able to take a good mark, and that's what English needs to do, Sal, is he needs to try work Marshall and Ryder over with his fitness, get into some more dangerous positions.
He needs to challenge them with something else other than what he does in the middle of the ground.
Because the physical side of it,
it's not his go.
It's not his go, and he's not going to be up to it. I like that with Dunkley going to full forward. Dunkley, Bontempelli, they're both quite capable of playing forward, and it just adds another element now to their forward line. They become more physical inside forward 50 with a Dunkley in there. He can take a mark. He can get it at ground level. They've got to try something, the Dogs, because their two key forwards in Norton and Bruce are not working at the minute.
I'm not certain Norton's out there, to tell you the truth. I think, but he has been out there for a long, long time.
Just the two disposals for Aaron Norton, playing with that fractured cheekbone with the helmet back in the middle of the ground. Tap came down to McRae, couldn't get a clean disposal. Marshall kicks the half forward, cleverly knocked on by Butler. It comes to Loney, who got the tap on from Marshall. Hand pass inside the 50, didn't get to Membry. And Lipinski's tackle, and he can't break clear.
So close, Loney there.
Geez, there was some slick movement from the Saints there, almost Richmond-like in their tap-ons.
Those little half opportunities.
Saints deep in attack. King up against Keith. No decisive tap. Johannesson lost his footing. Loney tackled by Bontempelli. The Bulldogs captain over the top with the armour, and he will get... No, he won't. Almost thought he'd convince the umpire.
Thrown in the air. Butler tapping it out of the congestion. Can he get on the end of it? Williams comes the other way, takes possession. Daniels slipped by hand. And Lipinski clears out of defence to the wing. Back with a flight. Marshall, one hand to it, couldn't take it. He does gather. He's immediately tackled. English and Bruce get him on the wing. A ball up. Centre wing, Vulture Street side. The Saints by 7. Grandstand AFL, the elimination final. Up it goes. Bruce and Marshall. Marshall the win down. Billings from the pack, got it to Hunter Clark. His kick off the side of the boot. Steele was there, tapped it over the boundary line. In competition with Caleb Daniel. A throw in centre wing. It's St Kilda 6-4-40. The Western Bulldogs 5-3-33. We played 8 minutes of the third quarter.
So Dunkley's pushed forward, and looks like Richards has pushed forward as well. Trying to create some chemistry for the Bulldogs. Thrown back into play. Marshall wins down the tap against Bruce. Easy picking as he got it to Hanbury and then to Billings. Hunter Clark just took a tap too long. Hand pass intercepted. Bruce did well. Got it to Dunkley on the wing. The Dogs kicked a half forward. English has pushed forward. He takes the mark on his chest. Richards is the deepest forward with Dougal Howard. Oh, English just blazed away. Kicks to the pocket. Bontempelli going forward. Couldn't take the mark. Wilkie kept it alive, kicks to half back. Carlisle and English.
2 marks.
English uses his strength and height to take the mark. But had McRae with the hand pass ignored that.
Nobody's moving now inside. It's got to go to the top of the square. Nice, dangerous spot.
So Tim English does send it long. Bontempelli from behind gave away the free kick. With Ben Long in front. Bontempelli over the shoulder, and the Saints will take the advantage. With a kick to half back, Crozier couldn't take the mark, but does gather the footy.
Just forward of the logo, thrust the Bulldogs forward again. They're rising long in front of the pack. One hand to it, couldn't take it. Clark got it, broke one tackle and a second, not a third. That could be holding the ball. McRae gets a hold of it. Non-preferred right to Bailey Smith. More heavy contact from Hanbury, who's hurt his shoulder. And Bailey Smith holds the mark directly in front. 30 out. That was a finals-like contest in the air.
Oh, he's tough, Hanbury. He'll get up. You know, this second-year play, this kid, Bailey Smith, to hold his ground like that, to know you're going to get the contact. A critical mark, critical time in the game. Hanbury, he'll get up. He's hurt. There's no doubt about it. He's got to finish here now, Bailey Smith.
Smith off the outside of the boots. Terrible contact, terrible result behind. And the Saints lead is a goal. 6-4-40 plays 5-4-34. We've played 10 minutes of this third quarter on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio.
Spoke about Ben Long and using his aggression. That's a second-year player up against a 12th-year player. Bailey Smith so strong in the contest. Long kick To half-back for the Saints. Bontempelli gathered, dance around one, got around Hill, kicks inside the 50, it's over the head of Bruce, bounces past Wallace. Carlisle comes charging out, unloads with a long kick in the middle of the ground. Up, Geary, claimed the mark, good mark. I think Crozier should have got a hand to it, didn't spoil. Kicks to Marshall, out on the southern wing. The Saints have players breaking at half forward. Steele is one of them. He spots him. Pierces a kick. Hand pass to Hill. Here go the Saints once more. Long kick. Sinclair got rid of his opponent. Bouncing ball to King. He tries to gather in the right forward pocket. Turns the arm. Steadies. Snaps to Kicky's third. He misses. To the left-hand side. A minor score. The Saints lead by 7 points. End-to-end footy.
Daniel to bring it back in for the Dogs. The tempo's high, an engrossing contest unfolding. The Saints by 7. And Bailey Williams receives in the right back pocket. He doesn't know where to go. Hemmed in near the boundary line. He kicks towards the wing. A massive pack of players in it. Carlisle hands to it. No mark at the back. Socked by Crozier. He gains 15 metres. Pursuing it long. He's bumped off it by Crozier. Ball out of play on the Vulture Street wing. Lots of faces on the boundary line of fans who are deeply invested in this contest. At the throw-in, down to Bailey Smith, who gave to Dunkley. Dunkley kicks the Dogs to the half-forward flank. Rourke Smith one-on-one opposed to Howard. It was good from Dougal Howard, who had the height advantage, edged out his opponent and took the defensive mark for the Saints. He's now told to play on as he came off his mark, and he gets around Rourke Smith easily, goes back to the wing. Crashing the pack, Marshall couldn't mark. Rove by Steele. Steele almost escorted out of play, but got a hand pass infield to Billings, who kicks towards half forward.
Well, there's a chance for King. Can't take the mark. Gardner right there with him. Kent knocked it on to Sinclair. Squeezes the kick to Hanbury. Great vision. He's got Loney free in the pocket. He missed him. Now he spots him. Sends it wide. Loney takes the mark.
Play on.
He plays on. Going to ground to Ray. Squares it up. Great vision. And Geary takes the mark directly in front. 25 metres out. Loney could have easily had the shot. Did the disciplined thing. And how good Jaron Geary has been so far this afternoon.
They both had impacts. St Kilda small forwards, Loney and Butler. They've just caused havoc inside that forward 50 for St Kilda.
Missed the shot after the sign of quarter time. He doesn't miss here. Jaron Geary, the St Kilda captain, puts through the goal. And the Saints are back out by 13 points. 7-5-47 to the Bulldogs, 5-4-34. 13 minutes played, third term on Grandstand AFL. The Saints are 2-1. You're with Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
Just a couple of those contests in the middle of the ground that St Kilda are able to win. Hanbury there running with the flight of the ball, takes the mark. Didn't see Loney initially, but still had enough space, Loney, to take the mark. The presence of mind of Loney then to play on. You get the ball into a better position. Geary's been the deepest forward for St Kilda a lot tonight. He's tried to drag Caleb Daniel back as often as he can. That's his third shot at goal now for one goal, and he's handed another one off. So he's done his job, the captain, in his role playing as that deepest forward.
Adam Ramanauskas, Essendon Premiership player with you on Grandstand AFL. Can the Dogs find another gear? The Saints in a strong position. Umpire lays it down. Ryder rises, knocks it down. And Jones exits the centre square for St Kilda. Back with the flight. Eastonwood had it bounce. He couldn't gather, but Gardner did. A hand pass to Dure. Under pressure, caught by Keddy's kick effective, but worked out okay. Liberatore marked on his chest. Off to Daniel by hand. His low kick into the middle. Didn't get to the intended target. Hunter knocked down by Long. Hunter Clark gets it. Off to Hanbury. Back to Long. He's caught. Hand pass affected. McRae intercepts. Off to English. Off to Lipinski. His hand pass put Bontempelli in a bind. He's dragged down by Ross. Holding the ball. Incorrect disposal, said the ump, and Ross's free kick in defence for the Saints.
Great tackle.
They say in finals footy you don't want to get beaten by what you know, and the Saints have brought their tackling intent. Billings on half-back, kicks to the wing, Loney takes the mark. Saints by 13 points, having kicked 4 of the last 5 goals of the match. Loney called to play on, sends it long towards half forward, a 2-on-1, 3-on-1 for Marshall. He somehow juggled the mark. Caleb Daniels stands the mark as Marshall drives the kick inside 50. King from the behind, almost take the mark. Ryder in front. He's claimed it. Two tall targets there for the Saints. And in the end, they wouldn't be denied. And Paddy Ryder with a chance to kick his second, pushing forward against English. Did he have all of that, Rammer?
He had most of it.
Doesn't matter. Like,
paid the mark.
English has got to be. He's got to be stronger in that contest. Eastern Wood's got Max King to worry about.
In that unique club are playing finals of three different clubs, and Paddy Ryder kicks his second. The Saints are out by 19 points, and do they dare to dream? The Saints fans at the Gabba are celebrating the biggest lead of the match. 8-5-53 to the Bulldogs, 5-4-34. 16 minutes gone, third term.
Well, Paddy Ryder's dominated the ruck work, and they'll kick 2 goals as well. That's a big, big bonus when you talk about ruckman. Marshall does a good job in the ruck as well, but when your ruckman kick goals, that hurts the opposition. Yeah. And a good mark down there by Paddy, and they continue to pump the ball in there. They look like they're in pretty good control now. They're moving the ball well. They understand what they can do. They've got 2 big talls up there. Why wouldn't you kick it long and high and see how they go? Because Max King's been catching him. He's had 5 marks already, Max King, with contested ones as well. So incredibly good play by them. And now I reckon they think they've got him on the run.
Kicked 5 of the last 6, Sellers. Saints have really made a telling move in this elimination final.
Here we go. 19 points is a big day.
Rammer talked about the shortened quarters, the momentum, the difficulty of wrestling back momentum in finals. Can the Dogs find something from the middle? There's a high tackle on Zach Jones. He didn't get a free kick thrown out by McRae. I didn't see that either. Ross gets it anyway. Off to Jones. Gave to Long. He runs into Bontempelli. Just got boot to ball. Wood comes to meet it. Tackled by Butler. Butler knocks it out. But English gets it for the Dogs. Off to Crozier. Off to Wood. All under pressure. A kick to the half-forward flank. Bruce rises early. Couldn't take it. Norton a rare possession. He's tackled. Probably didn't get a handball out. Bruce wins it. Hand pass out in front of Bailey Smith. Top of the 50 for the Dogs. He's hemmed in. He got it back to Richards. Richards to Lipinski. Dangerous ball towards the hot spot. Up goes Rourke Smith. Can't mark. Steele took it. He's caught by Bruce. Got a hand pass out. And the ball is cleared by Caulfield out towards the back flank. The umpire says deliver it.
Yep.
Free kick to the Western Bulldogs, attacking side of the Vulture Street wing.
There was nothing wrong with giving away a free kick there. Just get it out of the way.
McRae sends a long ball inside the 50. Richards and Bruce, but Caulfield at the back takes the mark. The Dogs forward line haven't really been able to have any sort of imposing moments so far. Caulfield with a long kick out of defence to the wing. Eastonwood flies, couldn't take the mark. Sinclair's hand pass intercepted. Membry with a hand pass into the corridor for Jones. He drives the kick towards half forward. Great kick. Almost Geary couldn't take the mark. Taylor Duray got a spoil to it. Loney gathers. Hand pass back towards Geary. Can he get around Joe Haddison? Back to Butler. Dribbles it to the goal mouth and misses to the right-hand side. The Saints leading by 20 points. 18 minutes, now 19 gone, third term.
Daniel down the middle finds Keith. Keith to centre half back. Good movement from the Dogs. McRae now in possession. What's his next move though? He's looking laterally. He kicks to the interchange side of the ground to Duray. Duray back on the 45 to Daniel. Defensive side of the Stanley Street wing. He chips. Maintained possession. Liberatore. Dishes off a hand pass to Eastonwood. Long hand pass now creates. Bontempelli feeds it further afield. Hunter near the boundary line. Approaches left half forward. Kicks towards English. Ryder edged him out. Nudged him under the ball and took the mark in defence for the Saints. His kick goes towards defensive 50 and Steele. He told to play on and he's caught it. He didn't hear the umpire. English got him. He got boots of ball. Luckily Ross was there to take it. And he gave to Patton, who bounces through the middle. They're away. Off to Sinclair. From the bullseye, kicks to Geary, he can't mark, opposed to Joe Haddison, Butler the Rove, skirts past them and scores! Goal unguarded, at his mercy, Butler with breakneck speed, and the Saints are out maybe just home. 26 points is the lead on the back of what has been a superb third term from St Kilda. 9-6-60 to 5-4-34, and Butler gets his first.
That started from a pathetic effort from English in the back half. All of a sudden the ball goes down the other end, and Butler's on the end of it. Went from right down from the full back line. Here it is now, right? Pathetic, and it didn't push back hard enough on Ryder. You got to push back. It's like he doesn't really want to work hard, you know what I mean? So anyway, goes up forward. Good contest by Geary. Brings the ball down, and then Butler, who's a star. He makes the All-Australian side. His front and square stuff is fantastic. Love what he's done. He's changed that side's dynamics completely with the way he plays. But, gee whiz, English review won't be that flash, I can tell you.
Oh, but that's two in a row. Two in a row.
Well, it's more than two in a row.
I'm talking about the last 5 minutes, Alice.
No, I'm talking about English's problems, you know.
Marshall out of the middle, kicks to half forward. Johannesson hit it with speed for the Dogs. Takes a bounce, runs away from Ross. Got a shove as he got his kick away.
Go quick.
So this should be a downfield free kick.
They did.
So Bontempelli's kicked it to Norton, but it's going to come back. And I assume it should be downfield. The Dogs took the mark. Strange.
Oh.
Means the ball comes all the way back to the wing. And Johannesson almost conceding, kicks back to Crozier on half back. So it's almost like 2 steps back, 1 forward. Across half back to Eastonwood. He takes the mark.
Biggest problem for the Dogs is they've got a lot of work to do. And they can't find a way through.
Eastonwood comes in on the 45. Short pass to Williams.
They just can't get a winning forward.
Need to now try and create some run. There's nothing really further afield. Williams called to play on, so he'll have to kick wide. Sets it up to Dunkley. It's over his head. Long sported down for the Saints. Hannabury's hand pass inboard. Hill tackled. Arm pinned by Wood. Good tackle.
That's gone.
Holding the ball.
And rewarded. The Bulldogs to take it back through Eastonwood on the northern wing.
This could get one before three-quarter time.
At least one, Rammer, as the kick comes infield to Lipinski. He's on the edge of the centre square. He kicks the Western Bulldogs in the English direction. And he does mark it, opposed to Marshall. He's a fair way out, 47 from goal, hard angle to the right.
But this is the part of the game he does well. For a ruckman, he kicks the ball well.
Come around 4 metres.
But remember, he had a massive growth spurt, Tim English, so he's a midfielder right up until I think he's under 16s, and then he grew almost 20 centimetres in 12 months. So he's actually a very good kick of the ball.
Bulldogs need a moment to boost them. Marshall's doing star jumps backwards on the mark. English's kick looks right all the way, and he misses near side. The margin is 25 points in this elimination final. St Kilda over the Western Bulldogs, approaching three-quarter time on Grandstand AFL.
He kicked that well.
Yeah.
He hit it well.
So the Bulldogs' last goal came at the 5-minute mark of the third quarter. Kicked 2 goals since that first quarter. They kicked 3 goals to 2. Long ball from Howard towards King. Couldn't quite take the mark. Hunter taken high by Long. That'll be 50.
That's what you need.
Ben Long with a brain fade. Then it'll cost his side as Hunter will be taken from the wing. So arguably within scoring range.
50-metre penalty is costly in a game like this. That could turn the whole thing around in a hurry. There's still a long time to go in this game.
To be fair, there wasn't a lot in it, but it just wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary.
There was 4 last night. The Tigers gave it away.
Lockie Hunter's kicked 3 goals, 7 so far this season. Point blank range, 20 metres out. Hits the post. You wouldn't believe it. The small opening for the Dogs to capitalise ahead of three-quarter time goes begging. And the Saints lead by 24 points as Dan Hannabury comes and lets him know about it. Oh, moments in finals. Momentum can be won and lost.
Well, it's potentially a completely different dynamic heading to the huddle at three-quarter time if that goes through for the Western Bulldogs. Howard kicks in. Bruce in front of the pack mark, so perhaps another chance. Bruce off to Bontempelli from left half forward. Kicks to full forward. Norton in the pack. Comes to the front. Sinclair Rose. Slick hands away to Hunter Clark. His kick to Hill's a beauty under pressure. Hill marks near the 50 and a looping hand pass over the top. He releases Steele. Steele doesn't want to take it forward. He spins 360, has a bounce and now kicks to the wing. Johannesson edged out Loney. That was touched by Loney, but Johannesson's been paid the mark. 20 seconds for Johannesson, but he goes backwards to Jure at right half back, and he's going to go backwards as well. They're going to need to rush it down the ground to score the Dogs. Keith takes the mark. He'll go short. Bontempelli at left half back. Seconds tick down. It's going to be a 4-goal lead to St Kilda on return to finals football. The Saints haven't won a final since 2010, the year they played in a drawn grand final. And at three-quarter time on their return to the big stage, it's the Saints 9-6-60, the Western Bulldogs 5-6-36. The goal kickers for the Saints: King's kick 2, Ryder's kick 2, Membry's kick 2, singles to Loney, Geary and Butler. While for the Western Bulldogs, all single goals to Wallace, Bontempelli, Dunkley, Crozier, Bruce and Johannesson. On the SMS 0437 774 774, that's the number if you want to touch base with us. Mark in Canberra says, gee, it's good to have a big match in daylight hours, so much better. I wish the Tigers had had an afternoon match. Rex and Greta have been walking the Hasten Trail in South Australia end to end, heading north towards Parachilna, flying the mullet for Bailey Smith. Go Dogs, they say. They've got some work to do. Enjoying the call as I drive back to Portland after a day trip to the Grampians with my 73-year-old dad, who took me on an 18-kilometre hike and did it more comfortably than I did. Go Pies later on. We'll get a preview of that match shortly. West Coast and Collingwood.
Rowan Marshall territory, isn't it? Portland, where his mum and dad have painted the cows to match the brown, red and white.
Beautiful country.
Keep an eye out for the cows.
Beautiful country. Great call, lads. We're hanging off every word. Go Dogs, says Brad in West Footscray. And one more contribution for Sellers Radio program. I could see McClure as a rapper. Any chance of getting him to try some on air? Go Pies, says Butter Guts. You might be able to work in a Butter Guts lyric. Sellers, it's no point. 0437 774 774. So the Saints have really made their move on Grandstand AFL in that third quarter. They kicked 5 goals to the Western Bulldogs 1. They turned for home with a 24-point lead. Hope you're enjoying the call wherever you're listening around the country. I'm sure Saints fans are getting a little toey, a little excited now. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC News Radio, ABC Radio and Grandstand Digital.
ABC Books, compelling stories from Australian writers.
During the Velvet Revolution, I fell in love with the city of Prague. 30 years on, I've returned to exhume her grisly history. I travel through the Black Palace of the Nazi SS. I meet victims of the communist secret police and the ancient pagan priestess who prophesied, I see a great city, its glory will touch the stars.
The Golden Maze by Richard Feidler. Book and audiobook available now in bookshops and online.
The 2020 AFL Finals Series.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
Daniel, quick half pass to Bailey Smith, missed his target. Steele, tackled by Bontempelli, comes clear to Billings. Quick half pass to Ryder, hacks the kick inside the 50, and Membry reaches up to take the mark. 1 goal 1 for Tim Membry this afternoon. He comes in, hits it well, drives it home.
Rourke Smith marks top of the 50, hand pass Lipinski. He kicks to full forward. It was touched on the way through. Dunkley, great pick up, snaps and scores.
Hannibal, great vision. He's got Loney free in the pocket. He missed him. Now he spots him, sends it wide. Loney takes the mark. He plays on, going to ground to Ray, squares it up. Great vision. And Geary takes the mark directly in front, 25 metres out. Missed the shot after the sign of quarter time. He doesn't miss here. Jaron Geary, the St Kilda captain, puts through the goal.
Steele. He told to play on and he's caught it. He didn't hear the umpire. English got him. He got boots of ball. Luckily Ross was there to take it. And he gave to Patton, who bounces through the middle. They're away. Off to Sinclair. From the bullseye. Kicks to Geary. He can't mark. Opposed to Johannesson. Butler the Rove. Skirts past them and scores.
The 2020 AFL Finals Series.
On ABC Radio and on Grandstand Digital.
It's been a decade since the Saints last won a final. They're on their way. 9-6-60 the Saints. The Western Bulldogs 5-6-36, needing to pull something out in the last quarter to keep their season alive. The Dogs bring you up to speed with the NRL. The elimination finals, a tight one between the Sharks and the Raiders in Canberra. It's the Raiders trailing by 4 points approaching half-time. Cronulla 14, Canberra 10. Later this evening, the Melbourne Storm in the qualifying final up against the Parramatta Eels from Lang Park in Brisbane. In the Super Netball, the Melbourne Vixens, the minor premiers, defeated the Sunshine Coast Lightning 63 goals to 47 to advance to the grand final. And in the cricket today, New Zealand dismissed for 180 and 49.1 overs by the Australian women, who chased down the victory target 3 for 181 from 33.4 overs. Lanning 62, not out off 70. Wareham, Molyneux and Joe Jonathan picked up 2 wickets apiece for the Australian women's side. Another final coming up tonight, another elimination final, pits the West Coast Eagles up against Collingwood. For West Coast, Cripps, McGovern, Redden and Shuey come back into that lineup. 4 key inclusions for the West Coast Eagles, and Josh Kennedy in the team. We'll wait and see if he actually runs out, but certainly West Coast confident he'll be playing tonight, despite that ankle issue. And Darcy Cameron and Chris Mayne come in for Collingwood, with Tyler Brown and Travis Barco omitted from the Collingwood lineup. So we look forward to seeing what transpires later in Perth. Played some terrific finals over the year. The drawn semi in 2007 that went to extra time. The 1990 qualifying final when Mick Malthouse and his team had to come back from Western Australia the following week. And Collingwood went on to win the premiership. And let's not forget the 2018 grand final as well. 0437 774 774 is the number to get in touch with us in the grandstand commentary position. Jenny and John from Bacchus Marsh here. I'm listening on the radio and cooking. Jenny is screaming at the TV. It's manic in this household. I think it'll be manic at the Gabba as well in the final term, Jen and Johnny, if they can get over the line, the Saints, the way things are going, Mark McClure.
They look like it, don't they, Rammer? They look like they can get over the line.
They look good.
They do look good, but it'll be manic in the Bulldogs huddle, I can assure you, with some of the efforts that they've had. They just cannot find a forward line. They can't move it in the forward line. When you have a look at Bruce and Norton, they're really worrying me. Ed Richards haven't seen for some time. You know, you can have Mitch Wallace has hardly touched it a bit. Lockie Hunter, they're just not getting their hands on the ball enough. And you can see their statistics dropping against the opposition in this area. They're way down in some of those areas. So for mine, that's just their style of play. It's sort of flip and flop and it's slow instead of actually being quick. And the opposite's happening on the other side. Ryder's been special. No, he has been absolutely special tonight, Ryder. Been fantastic with a couple of goals and great ruck work. King's been unbelievable. Membry's been unbelievable. That's the difference in the forward line. The goal scoring versus what they've got the other end of the doggies.
I don't want to see St Kilda try to save the game.
No.
Yeah, they've got to keep running. They've got to keep attacking. They go slow. You know, that will just open the door slightly for the Bulldogs. Turnovers start to occur, you know, late in games when you're getting tired. I want to see again St Kilda go early in this quarter, first 5 or 6 minutes, try to get a goal or two on the board, try to, put it beyond doubt.
Whip them to the line.
Yeah.
The Western Bulldogs have won 12 last quarters this season of 17. The Saints have won 10, drawn 1 and lost 6.
They're going to go through the middle of the ground. They've been around the wings the entire game, the Bulldogs. They've got to start attacking through the middle of the ground.
They've got to kick 4 goals.
They're not giving their forwards a chance, their mids at the moment.
They've got to kick 4 or 5 goals, and I haven't kicked that so far.
They haven't come from behind at three-quarter time to win this season, the Western Bulldogs. It's the last roll of the dice. Final term underway. The Saints by 24 points in the elimination final. There's no clean takeaway from the middle of the ground, and we'll have a secondary ball up.
Josh Bruce started in a ruck.
And he competed. They actually kept it in there. Every other time has gone straight out.
So just outside the centre circle, thrown in the air. Bruce and Ryder down to Steele. Off his knee, got it moving forward, but Hunter in the way for the Dogs. Off to Williams from half-back, got it to McRae on the wing. McRae sweeps onto his left, kicks towards the 50. Caulfield peels off, though, and intercepts for St Kilda at right half-back.
It just hasn't been his normal self, McRae, since that hit. He's had 17 possessions, but he hasn't had the usual impact.
No, since Ben Long right in the first quarter.
Absolutely rattled him.
Zach Jones at half-back, kicks towards half-forward. King in the pack. Marshall didn't fly, and Williams gathers at the back in 2 minds. Got the kick away as Membry charged at him. Laid the tackle, forced the turnover.
Easy mark.
Caulfield takes an uncontested mark in the end.
So you can't allow those. You've got to bring him to ground so there's a fight.
Hasn't he been impressive? Back in 2017, Nick Caulfield picked 7.
Oh, he's a player.
Into the middle of the ground, combines with Carlisle. Gets the hand pass to Hunter Clark, who was another one picked up in that draft. Hand pass from Bailey Smith to Bontempelli. Can the Dogs muster a challenge? Kicks to English, who's fourth behind. Spoils against Howard, down to Dunkley. Right forward pocket, nothing but St Kilda players there. And Caulfield takes the mark in front of a frustrated Rourke Smith.
Thank you, hold there.
Gave him a little shove, but didn't concede 50.
Caulfield in the left back pocket uses it short to Howard, who casually marks and is in absolutely no hurry to dispose of the ball. St Kilda 9-6-60. The Western Bulldogs 5-6-36. Short pass to Hunter Clark.
So the Dogs have had 34 inside 50s to 31 to the Saints, and they're well behind. Had their chances, just can't score.
Clark to the wing, bashed forward by Geary. Herring onto it is Kent. Can he pick up? Yes, he can. He runs away from Bruce. Kicks from near the interchange. Into the pocket. That's gone out of the full.
Go, switch the ball.
Keith plays on immediately as if he heard you, Rammer. Got it towards Crozier.
Oh.
Crozier kicks to the open side of the ground, a one-on-one. Sinclair and Hunter. It cleared them. Rourke Smith got it, gave to Hunter. Centre wing. Vulture Street side. Throws it on the boot to half forward. Wallace is there. Opposed to Clark. Couldn't mark. Almost the row for Wallace, who gets one over the shoulder. A free kick. Slightly too far out to score. He's 52 from goal at left half forward.
1 metre back, please. Come on.
It's an incredible goal from the pocket. He's looking at options into the corridor. Short to Taylor DeRay, who is a long kick. Thought about the hand pass to Crozier running past, but that dries up. Into the corridor to Bailey Williams in the middle of the Gabba.
The numbers inside forward 50. The kick has to go to the top of the square.
They've bar about 4 or 5 players for the Saints inside their defensive 50. Long kick. Josh Bruce competes, brings the ball to the front. Wallace gathers, hand pass to Hunter. Back to McRae on 50, hard against the boundary. Puts it to the hot spot. Rourke Smith, Bailey Smith there. Carlisle takes the mark. Jake Carlisle takes the mark. Aaron Norton with the helmet on the mark. He hasn't had much of an impact, Aaron Norton, in the air. As Carlisle goes short to Brad Hill. The kick's long to half back. Marshall got away with a shove on Easton Wood. And it goes over play and across the boundary on the southern wing. The Saints by 24 points at the 4-minute mark of the final term.
And that 20 contested marks to 8 to the Doggies. 20 contested marks, they've won.
English and Ryder. Ryder takes front position and loses it to English, who knocked it down. McRae was being manhandled, tried to soccer it forward. Bontempelli now soccers it forward, but it's intercepted. Long's got it in defence for the Saints. Still a 24-point lead to St Kilda, and 4 minutes have been milked off the clock in the final term. A short pass to Sinclair. He goes across the top of the 50. Hunter Clark in possession for the Saints. He wants to play on. Kicks to the wing. A one-on-one. Keith opposed to King. Keith got it to ground level. Bailey Smith picked up. He's caught by King. Got a hand pass out. Easton Woods under pressure from Jones. Hill tried to pinch it, couldn't do so. Slap forward the Dogs' way. English had a fumble on the wing. Hunter Clark comes through. He's now tackled by English. Clark's got it. English has got him. Umpire says, I'll have it, thank you. Attacking side of the outer wing for the Western Bulldogs. No score in this final term. Been playing 5 minutes of it. The Saints by 24.
Ryder and English. Ryder flicks it over the back towards the boundary line. Patton couldn't get it. Liberatore could. Kicks towards Richards. From behind, Wilkie worked his way to the front. Good tackle by Rourke Smith. Footy stuck underneath. Wallace slides in. Knocks it out to Lipinski. Jack Steele can't break his way through. And tackle by McRae. The umpire will ball it up.
Saw a poor sign by McRae then. He worked the mark. He didn't work it at all. He didn't actually try and block the kick. He just sort of moseyed around and a token effort.
Thrown up on the wing. Ryder wins it down to Hanbury. Hand pass to Ross, trying to find Billings. Eventually got the hand pass forward to Kent. The Saints move it forward. It's hard up against the boundary line. Billings kicks towards half forward. Marshall competes, brought it down. The Dogs have the numbers. DeRay eventually gathers. Daniel with an underground hand pass to Keith. Back to Gardner at right half back. He loads up with a kick round the wing. English in the pack. Norton able to take the mark on his chest.
Norton.
That's his second mark of the match as he feeds the hand pass to Johannesen.
Johannesen inside 50. Caulfield floats back though. Bruce couldn't impose. Caulfield marks. Short pass to fullback to Patton. Patton comes out to the Vulture Street side. Big fly Crozier over the top of the intended target. Membry, he bashes it over the boundary. 70 from the Western Bulldogs goal at the school end. The eastern end of the Gabba. 9-6-60 St Kilda. The Western Bulldogs 5-6-36. The Dogs led by 5 points at quarter time. They've only kicked 2 goals since. The Saints have kicked 7 since quarter time. Bontempelli from the stoppage. 55 out, takes on Sinclair. Throws it on the boot. Couldn't quite. It's away to the left from 50 out on the fly. If that went through, that would have lifted Bulldog hearts and spirits. But it's a behind to make the margin. 23 points. First score of the last quarter at the 7-minute mark. Dangerous kick in. Dogs a chance.
Liberatore with the hand pass. Got it to McRae. Little room to move. Jams it on the boot and sprays it out to the right, trying to pull it back. He sends it out on the full. Takes midfield, normally so composed, but through the pressure of the Saints this afternoon and the intensity of finals, have struggled to pull the trigger at the right moments. As Howard takes the free kick in the left back pocket and goes short to Steele.
They got 10 minutes. You can kick 4 goals in 10 minutes, but the look of their face, it looks like they've accepted their fate.
St Kilda leading by 23. You sort of feel like one quick one even would change it, but that feels hard work at the moment. Daniel on the wing. Hand pass to Williams. Back to Daniel, to Johannesson. Backpedaling, now trying to take on Geary to advance ground. Kicks to half forward. Rourke Smith in from the side against Steele. Spoils it. And it goes over the boundary line on the 50-metre arc at right half forward.
It does. Just feels like they conceded a little bit, the Bulldogs here.
They just sort of accepted it, you know?
They're waiting for some brilliance.
But there's not
sort of been 7 goals to 2 since quarter time. St Kilda's way, so it feels like it's been hard work.
Thrown in at right half forward for the Dogs. Bruce in ruck post to Marshall. Marshall wins it off to Ross. Slapped it out the side to Hanbury. Hanbury caught by Liberatore. One of the boundary line. Liberatore wants to deliver it. Umpire says throw it in.
They brought Bruce in to play us forward, and he hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked. And that's their big key. Norton and Bruce.
13 goals for the season, Sellers. 14 when you count the goal he kicked today. He kicked 6 goals in 1 game against North Melbourne.
Hasn't worked.
English the tap down this time. It's on the wing. Bontempelli trying his hardest, but he's tackle dispossessed. Daniel goes through. Creative hand pass over his shoulder. English dithers. Hand passes defensively, eventually to Daniel. High kick inside 50. Hunter to fly. Knocked away. Long rows for the Saints. And he runs away with a bounce. Across the face of goal. He's not sure where to go. Took his time. Used it poorly. Johannesson didn't take the intercept mark. Geary there to win it for the Saints. The captain dribbles a kick around the wing.
Duray gathers, turns inboard, kicks to Hunter. The Dogs load up, try and send it long once more. Bontempelli in the pack. Oh, Norton, good mark from the side. Aaron Norton.
Well done.
Who's had just 3 disposals in the match, but marks in the left forward pocket.
2 metres, please.
Playing in the helmet with that fractured cheekbone. Still 8 minutes to go in the match, but the Dogs will have to start to find some purpose and momentum. Can Aaron Norton try and start the roll? Takes his time. Starts his approach. Norton comes in and puts it through. The Dogs give themselves a chance. The first goal of the final term comes at the 9-minute mark, and the Saints leaders cut back to 17 points. 9-6-60 to the Bulldogs, 6-7-43.
It's taken them, 10 minutes in this quarter just to get 1 goal. They've worked enormously hard in this quarter. The Bulldogs.
How many inside 50s they have?
Yeah, 7-1.
7-1.
7-1. So they're peppering the Bulldogs at the moment. What's hurting them is their kicking efficiency. They're only going at 46% in this quarter, Sellers. So
but they're dominating, aren't they?
Just get a bit of composure going inside forward 50 now. They're dominating. So St Kilda have slowed right down. It's 18 marks to 6. So they're trying to control the tempo now.
It's the time to pounce.
That's right. You've got to pounce on them now. If you're a dog, they don't want to run anymore at the moment. The Saints. So it's 3 goals now, so 17 points. So still plenty of time. 8 minutes 20 of actual time going. So there's a good 15 minutes of football still to play here.
Wombat's listening in WA. He says, we're not home yet. Don't put the mockers on us. From the middle of the ground, Dunkley gets the clearance for the Dogs. Inside 50, it hits the deck. Wallace is there, punched away from him. Daniel got it, flicked it out to Richards, 45 out. Richards to an unguarded goal, pulled his kick, lacked composure. A behind, he misses on the right-hand side.
They're
a 16-point lead to the Saints.
Actually, their supporters are pretty bruised, these two, aren't they?
They've endured, Sellers. That's what makes success all the more special.
I agree.
Bulldogs haven't kicked back-to-back goals so far in this match. Howard plays on, long ball for the Saints to half-back. King outmanoeuvred, cleared Marshall, and Keith races back towards the boundary line. Under pressure from Kent, it rolls over the line. St Kilda 9-6-60 to the Bulldogs 6-8-44. The winner of this match to take on the reigning Premier, Richmond. Marcus Bontempelli.
It's a fair task, isn't it, for week 2?
Nice little challenge. Try and focus on the positives, remember? Butler breaks from the clearance, wins the footy, kicks inside the 50, Membry free. It bounces in front of him. Hard against the boundary, hat pass to Geary. This might finish it, he puts it through. Jaron Geary, the captain, from the top of the goal square, kicks his second. And the Saints immediately answer. Back out by 22 points. 10-6-66 to the Bulldogs, 6-8-44. 13 minutes gone, final term.
Well, that'll break your heart immediately because I love Jaron Geary. I reckon he's a ripper. He's one of those players that you'd actually love to be a captain and work for and be part of. He's a sharer of the ball. He's a carer. He plays roles that most other people don't want to do. He does whatever he's told to do. And I like the way he's played. So that little movement out of the centre and then the Butler flying through the middle of the ground and then a kick over. Membry waits for the bounce. It's a perfect bounce for him. Handball in the middle. Simple goal. Clearance from a boundary throw-in. Goal. Game over. All done. It's done. And Saints are going to move on. They've been terrific. They've scored well. They've moved the ball well.
They've used their
fought
speed.
them off.
They used their weapon, St Kilda. That's what they've used today. Yeah. Whereas I haven't felt the Dogs have used their weapon at any stage.
They challenged them with pace. Yeah. And they've done it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
From the middle of the ground, Ryder has been very good in ruck, but it's Bruce pulling it away at ground level and using his right boot, not preferred, to kick it towards the half-forward flank. Gets to the back of the pack, Lipinski near the boundary line. Wilkie for company. Lipinski
hold the ball.
He was tackled. It was really just a hand on the back and he dropped the ball and then regathered it. The umpire said, well, according to my very strict interpretation of the rule, that is holding the ball. Bradley Hill from the left back pocket. Goes to the Stanley Street wing. Ryder! They got him for a reason, and that has been justified with his performance. He kicks it to half-forward. Gardner up to spoil. Liberatore rose for the Bulldogs. The hand pass to McRae off to Smith. Can they get something going, the Dogs?
Feeds a hand pass wide to Crozier. Loads up. Norton in the pack. Flew. Takes the mark. Aaron Norton has found some confidence in the final term. Turns on his left-hand side. Hunter's free. Pushes inside the 50. Marks on his chest.
I don't know if Lockie Hunter's got the distance here. He's not a long kick at the best of times, Lockie Hunter.
So he missed that shot in the third quarter. 3 goals, 8 this season. Such a hard runner. Question is, can he kick 45? Hunter comes in, strikes it, gives it everything he's got. He kicks it. The Bulldogs with 2 goals to 1 in the final term. And the margin is 16 points St Kilda's way. 14 minutes gone, final term. The Saints 10-6-66 to the Bulldogs 7-8-50. He had the journey rammer.
Just all right. There's a terrific kick in the end. It was a great contested mark by Norton. He's come to life in the last 5 minutes of this game. They've just got to keep pushing the Dogs. 10 inside 50s to 2 now this quarter. So St Kilda have all but stopped, really. They're just trying to really control the game, control the tempo, and get to the final siren. 16 points, 6 minutes.
Well, we saw it with Brisbane last night, didn't we? That having a handy lead can be a dangerous prospect.
JB in Elwood says, bruised supporter, you called it. St Kilda supporter for decades and still not content. I reckon there are a few nervous Saints fans listening right now. And a few hopeful Dogs fans all of a sudden as well. 0437 774 774 if you want to get in touch. The Bulldogs are close enough, if good enough. Can they run down the Saints? Bontempelli's back on the ground. Right in the tap down to Steele, though. Off to Jones. Jones a banana to half-forward for the Saints. Membry charges out and marks on his chest. He's 60 from goal at left half-forward. And Membry will be in no hurry.
They can't kick from there, so they should call him playing.
And the umpire does give him the hurry along Sellers. Kick to full forward. King and Ryder. Off hands. Billings a rope. Almost fell over and then snapped it into the post. That surely would have been it. Billings running a tight line between the point and goalpost. Kicked it into the post and the lead is out to 17 points.
Charlie Cameron. It's easier watching it than it is to try and do it yourself. Williams on half back for the Dogs. Gets the hand pass to Bailey Smith. He runs away from Brad Hill. Kicks towards Dunkley. No, yes! Juggles the mark as he hit the turf. And Josh Dunkley in the right forward pocket with a chance to make it an 11-point ball game. He's looking to give it off, though. Oh, little lead in the pocket. Don't go there. Josh Dunkley. A goal already. Hits it. Moving right to left. It just held its line and stayed right. The Saints lead is 16 points at the 17-minute mark of the final term.
If that was one of your approach shot, Sellers, that would have been the perfect 1 metre fade into the green, but it looked so good off the boot, that kick.
Fade it further than that.
That's a slide, Sellers.
Kick goes to the back flank as the Saints bring it in. Wood gets a hold of it for the Dogs. Off to Jure. A hand pass to Crozier. Back inside the 50 again. It just keeps coming. Wave on wave. Bruce couldn't quite mark. Lipinski fights for it with Howard. It's 30 from the Western Bulldogs. Goal of stoppage. How many inside 50s this term for the Western Bulldogs?
Now. Oh, they're having a go, I tell you. I apologise. I thought they weren't, but they are having a real dip.
18-minute mark, final term. Saints by 16. Haven't won a final for a decade. Bontempelli gets it knocked out the back to Daniel. He's tackled by Steele. Just got boot to ball. Didn't carry 15. Wallace at the coalface off to Liberatore. Fends away. Snaps over his shoulder.
Wow.
Absolutely clutch. From the son of a gun. With the red, white and blue pumping through his veins. Tom Liberatore kicks the goal to spark the Dogs again. A 10-point lead to St Kilda. 18 played final term on Grandstand AFL. 10-7-67 the Saints. The Dogs are coming. 8-9-57.
Well, the fight's still there, Sellers. You look at Bontempelli in that contest. Gets the ball out to Daniel. Under enormous pressure. Gets a boot to ball. Mitch Wallace under enormous pressure. Somehow is able to get it to Libba. Libba's so good in those tight spaces. Gets it on that left boot for a snapshot. Jeez. What's that? 12 inside 50s to 3 now this quarter. Still plenty of time. 4 minutes, 16 seconds remaining here. Plenty of time to kick 2 goals. They're pushing hard, the Dogs. St Kilda have got to find one. They've got to find a goal now.
The Saints' last elimination final was back in 2011. They played in a lot of qualifying finals between 2010 and 2005. You've got to go back to 92 the last time they won an elimination final. Ryder and English. Ryder takes it out of the ruck. Squeezes the kick to half forward. Charging out. Kemp did well. Good contest. Eyes only for the footy for Dunkley. Crozier kicks to the wing. Onto it, Bailey Smith. Charges forward. Kicks to half forward. Bruce in the pack. Brings it to the front. Ben Long runs onto it. Hemmed up against the boundary. Hand pass back to Caulfield. Great smother. Caleb Daniel lunging forward. Forces a stoppage on the 50.
That's a great contest by Taylor Duray.
Vivian in Murrumbina, reflective of a few Saints fans on the text. Nervous, doesn't begin to describe it. I can't watch. Go Saints, she says. Boundary throw in. Right half forward for the Dogs. Knocked inside the 50. Ross is there with Liberatore. Ross gave it up to Wilkie. Wilkie's clearing kick. Might go out of the full. It does. Free kick, Western Bulldogs, right half forward. The Saints by 10 points.
Thanks, Dan.
St Kilda looking for its first finals win since 2010. Bailey Smith kicks to English, punched away by Ryder. Rode by Hill, he fumbled, and then kicked it into Johannesson. Daniel got a gate to Johannesson, off to Wallace, under pressure, pushed in the back. Free kick, Western Bulldogs against Hill. 35 from goal to the right of centre.
He's just got to take his time, Wallace. Take some deep breaths. There's still plenty of time on the clock.
Don't jump forward.
There's nothing you can do as a coach here. You just got to sit there and trust your troops.
Mitch Wallace, the Dogs' leading goal kicker. From about 40, pulled the kick. It's not coming back enough. It's a behind of the Western Bulldogs. The margin's 9 points. They're not going to get too many more chances, the Dogs. 10-7, 67 the Saints. The Dogs 8-10, 58 on Grandstand AFL. In the elimination final, we've played 21 minutes of the last.
15-4, the inside 50s in the final quarter, the Dogs' way. Howard brings the Saints back into play. English should take the mark on his chest. He has it at right half forward.
Actually, the Saints have actually stopped, slowed right down. They're easy to get now. You've got to push up on them.
So everyone's pushed inside the defensive 50, so English will have to find a target. Sends it long. Bruce up early. Spoiled away. It comes to Crozier. Knocks it to Daniel. Was he taken high? Wilkie was.
Huge.
The tackle is over the shoulder.
He was in the perfect spot, the umpire.
And Caleb Daniel with a chance to make it a 3-point ball game.
Yeah, it's there. It's definitely a high tackle.
22 minutes gone, final term. The Dogs have got to take their chances. It's in the right hands. Caleb Daniel, right forward pocket, 35 metres out. Kicks the goal. The Dogs won't give up. It's a 3-point ball game. 10-7, 67 the Saints to the Bulldogs, 9-10, 64. There's 2 minutes and 6 seconds to go.
Yeah, four goals in the last quarter to the Doggies, and they just keep coming. They've missed one or two as well. They just add them because the Saints have stopped. Their inside 50s are massive for this quarter. I think they're around about
16-4.
16-4 they are.
Possessions, they've only had 49 possessions for the quarter.
Yeah, unbelievable, because they're stopped. Yeah. They're slowed down. They're hanging on. They've got their fingernails against the wall. Well, they've certainly got them now with 3 points between them. And 2 minutes to go. Be very, very careful, Saints.
They're dominant. They're dominating contested footy, the Dogs.
Oh, absolutely.
30-16 in this quarter.
It's an amazing turnaround from what we saw in the first half. No forward line at all. Now they move the ball quickly and with some purpose, and they start to kick some goals.
The Saints led this game by 26 points. Jacob Clayton says, "Excuse me while I put my heart back in my chest." It's a similar feeling in our commentary position. Ryder tapped it down. Steele tries to sock and missed it. Ryder gets it, tackled by Liberatore. It's fierce and tight. Ross over it. He's caught. The umpire says mine. Ball up. Umpire Stevic comes in and will throw it in the air just outside the centre circle. Bobby Bentley. Where's Barry Breen?
It's a point kicker.
From the middle, Sinclair gets a hold of it for the Saints. Behind the circle, he goes with a high one to half forward. Marshall's there for St Kilda, opposed to Gardner, who gets it, missed the target with his hand pass. Goes back in hard, nudged Jones off the ball. It's out of play, but at St Kilda's end of the ground. Stanley Street side, left half forward. The Saints by 3 points in the elimination final, and we've played 24 minutes of the last quarter.
Territory is as valuable as seconds off the clock. Thrown back in, English and Ryder. Ryder brings it to the front, McRae onto it, tackled by Steele. It comes clear, Bontempelli trying to knock it on. Zach Williams, Carter's nice side step around Hill, kicks to the wing. Josh Bruce going back, Membry held his ground, he takes the mark.
What was the biggest lead in this game?
26 points.
26.
26, the Saints got out by 22 with Geary's the second goal of the last term. Membry kicks to the wing. Keith takes the mark. Feeds the hand pass away. The Dogs through Bontempelli at half-back. Kicks towards Dunkley. Spoiled away from him. Caleb Daniel races after it. Gathers in the middle of the ground. Hand pass away to Ray inside the 50. Can they find a mark? No. Crozier was in front. Bruce laid the tackle.
Thanks, boys. Straight up. Yeah, it's a high tackle.
High tackle. And Caulfield will take the free kick.
He's got to go.
He can't.
To the boundary here. Get your place to the boundary, as close as you can to the boundary, so if they don't mark it, it goes out of bounds.
Caulfield kicks. Marshall's not really being marked, and he takes it uncontested. Dreadful from the Bulldogs. The one player they needed to mark up on, and they couldn't even find a contest.
Again, boundary. Get distance and boundary.
Marshall from half-back kicks along the Vulture Street wing of the pack. English in it, King in it. There's a free kick.
Oh, they're going to be perfect here.
The Dogs have got to get a hold of it as the seconds tick down.
Go.
Keith has to move
over. It's too late now.
Extraordinary game of football. Sad there has to be a loser. This will be no fleeting finals appearance for the Saints. Emotions spill out on the gather. Hearts racing. St Kilda surviving. The Dogs came hard, but the Saints go through. Winners by 3. Tears. It means so much to all these Saints and all of their fans around the country. Some listening in from overseas, celebrating how tight it was at the end. A thrilling finish to a finals classic. The Saints 10-7-67 defeat the Western Bulldogs 9-10-64. The Dogs kicked 4 goals for in the last to 1 goal 1. After the Saints have led by 26 points into time on of the third term. St Kilda, 2 goals to King, 2 goals to Ryder, 2 goals to Membry, goals to Loney, a couple to Geary as well, and Butler kicked a goal for the Saints. While for the Western Bulldogs, all singles: Wallace, Dunkley, Hunter, Crozier, Bruce, Liberatore, Norton, Daniel and Johannesson. It was wave after wave from the Western Bulldogs, but the Saints ultimately win the game.
I think Paddy Ryder's in tears. He's hurt himself. If I can read lips, he's just said to Tim English, I've hurt my hammy.
Well, that's happened in the last couple of minutes.
Because he came off. He came off.
He was on the bench when I saw him in tears. Oh, this would be a mammoth blow to St Kilda. And a sad set of circumstances for a player who had such a significant contribution in this game. Well spotted, Rammer. Well, that's an unfortunate story emanating from what ultimately was a match worthy of celebration for the Saints. Their first finals victory since 2010, 10-7-67 to 9-10-64. I think my heart rate has just come back somewhere near 100. Somewhere. Probably not quite yet, Sellers, but what a gripping game of football. Send us a text. What did you make of it? 0437 774 774. David from Bentley says, when the Saints go marching in, yes, 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 calm the mighty Saints, he says. So later on tonight, we'll be releasing you. In around about 40 minutes' time, we'll wrap things up here, and it's off to Perth for West Coast and Collingwood. But first, there's a bit to break down, Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
Well, really at the start, I mean, the Dogs were really good early, and then the Dogs took over for 2 quarters. The second and the third quarter, they dominated. I mean, they just absolutely dominated. Hanbury and Clark and Zach Jones and Ross and Steele and those sorts of guys through the middle of the ground just continued to pound their forward line, and they scored goal after goal after goal, and we sat there and we watched the Dogs almost falling apart. Couldn't get hold of it, couldn't kick a goal, couldn't move it at all. But then in the last quarter, we see some sort of rush, which I cannot believe. In the end, there was 17-4 inside 50s for the way of the Dogs. They were exactly in possessions. They were 30 possessions down for the quarter, St Kilda, and hung on. Their tackle count was a massive in the Dogs' way, 14-8. So then you go to the other side is when with the contested possessions. Contested possessions 36-18. The Doggies won that. So that's how you win a game. But you didn't do it for long enough. They gave themselves chances. They missed a few little shots here and there, and everyone does that. And we understand that. St Kilda prevail, but gee whiz, if you're going to finish a game, you want to finish it off. Don't start to win a game and hang on and hang on and hang on. You need to pound again and pull the whip on yourself and keep going, because that was too close to be true, really, when you think about it, Rammer. I like what they did, but I really like what the Doggies did in the end. So we get a game that's close. But seriously, was it close? Was it really close? Probably not in the end when you think about it. They got out to a lead and they hung on and won. To me, they just didn't get going too early. Didn't get it going early enough.
You look at the game in isolation. Look at the first 3 quarters. The Saints were electric. Their run, their carry,
fantastic.
the way they moved the ball. Max King taking, a couple of big marks inside forward 50. Zach Jones, Brad Hill, just their defenders defending for their life at time in that second quarter. Hunter Clark, Wilkie, Dougal Howard. So that was St Kilda at their best. Then in the last quarter, and as Sellers said, 17 inside 50s to 4. Everything's in the Bulldogs' favour. They're pushing and prodding as hard as they possibly can. Aaron Norton come to life in that last in the last
Couple
quarter.
of big marks.
Daniel had 10 possessions in the last quarter. Bailey Smith, Duray off halfback, Williams off halfback, Hunter, Liberatore. And this is where it'll be a great learning. This will be a great learning for the Saints. That guys, we can't stop. We can't just stop and defend. That's not our go as a team. We've got to continue to push. We've got to try to score. 1 goal from their captain in that last quarter, Sellers. It proved to be the winning goal.
Yeah, absolutely did. But then you have a look at the other side. They've got to find a forward line at some stage. They've got to find a way to actually score at some stage. And for 3 quarters, they couldn't. But then in the end, when they rushed and pushed and shoved, they played beautifully. They had them on the back foot. They were gone. They were in trouble. They hung on, They hung on, and it was fantastic for them, the Saints. I'm pleased the Saints got through. I like the way they play football, but you can't play 3 quarters in the finals. You get rolled over.
Great moment here with Brett Ratton exchanging hugs and smiles, and a lot of his teammate players. Social distancing is obviously out the window in celebrations, but often you expect finals experience to matter in those moments. Rama, you think of the chances the Dogs had, and they just couldn't seize momentum. They got within a couple of points late, but they just couldn't convert, whether it was Wallace or Hunter or Bontempelli. They had their cracks.
Yeah, they had their, that's right. Like 4 goals, 4. They kick in that last quarter. Wallace missed obviously one that he should have kicked. Bontempelli missed one that he should have kicked. So, they're going to rue a couple of those chances. Dunkley with that looked good. It just faded. It faded late. Ed Richards on the run. They were all gettable goals. They weren't difficult shots at goals. So 9 goals, 10. They're the other side of the ledger when it comes to the accuracy. The Dogs.
The Dogs had 1 more shot at goal in the opposition and got beaten by 3 points. It's a cruel game, this, isn't it?
And yet it's the essence of finals footy.
That's it. That's the way it works.
But that's finals.
Yeah.
Finals are just moments. You win more moments than your opposition, you'll generally win the game. And just that critical moment in the last quarter, that stoppage where Butler burst through the middle of the ground, the Bulldogs simply weren't set up behind the ball. So Membry takes the ball, handballs it over to Geary, and you see 3 Bulldog defenders chasing back. I get it. They're trying to be in aggressive position to try to attack, but you still got to have some coverage behind. You still have some coverage.
We'll get you into the St Kilda rooms in a moment.
Our Saints fans, Shane Warne on the bus to the IPL in Abu Dhabi. How would he be going in that last quarter?
I reckon his hair might have just might have got a bit of work out.
Simon from St Kilda says on the SMS 0437 774 774, it's been worth the 10 years for a finals win like that for St Kilda. It goes well for the future. Good on you, Simon. Enjoy the win. Jake from Clayton, lose the inside 50s, 50-35 and still win. Lucky. Neutral supporter, so pleased St Kilda won. Cheers, Sellers. Almost put the jinx on us after the Geary goal. Remember Geelong and Hawthorn a few years ago. Mike in Kyneton, wonderful call, boys. Thanks. I have a dear mate with serious cancer. He's a Saints 50-year man, so I'm really happy they won. I just hope they've learnt something for next week. Thank you, Mike, and all the best to your mate as well. I hope you enjoyed the day. Saints played a poor second half and were lucky to get the win. Thanks, ABC. Thanks, Sellers. Great calling, says Terry from Thornbury. And Wombats back on the text from WA.
Wombat.
You so nearly commentators cursed us. They were right in every comment.
To be fair, it did feel over.
To come back in,
like
didn't you?
It felt over.
It did.
The Bulldogs had fought hard, but they couldn't muster much for it. And then the Saints almost played in their hands by the run stopped.
So it took the Dogs 10 minutes in that last quarter to get their first goal.
Yeah, that's right.
They peppered and peppered and peppered. They needed one at the 5-minute mark just to give them a little bit more time. Wallace, I think when Wallace missed, they would have taken it to 5 points. And they had about 4.5 minutes left. Daniel kicked the goal at the 23-minute mark when there was about 2.5 minutes left. So there was still time, but that 4.5 minutes, because they had so much momentum, might have been enough. But
So, yeah, at that stage, they kicked 5 goals. They kicked 3 in the first quarter. They end up kicking 4 of the last 5 goals. It just seemed unlikely.
Yeah.
The world's not fair, is it?
It feels a bit rough. That was a good quality game of football that finished in an absolute thriller. There's a bit to work through, what it means for St Kilda, what it means for the Western Bulldogs. There's an element to the missing link in that forward line.
I'll tell you what, though. Richmond would prefer to play the Bulldogs than St Kilda.
Yep.
St Kilda's
knocked them off.
St Kilda's run will really worry the Tigers.
St Kilda beat the Western Bulldogs, beat Richmond and beat Port Adelaide. They're 3 scalps from the top 8, teams that finished in the top 8 in the regular season. That's their path towards a grand final should they get there. Port Adelaide in the prelim if they can get past Richmond. So Saints fans, enjoy it. I'm sure you're revelling in it wherever you're listening around the country. We'll revel in this. Let's head into the St Kilda rooms. Kilda 10-7-67 defeated the charging Western Bulldogs, who came with a rush late 9-10-64, a 3-point win to the Saints. It was the Dogs by 5 points at quarter time, St Kilda by 7 at half time. St Kilda kicked 4 goals to 1 in the third term to lead by 24, got the margin out as far as 26 before the Dogs made their charge. St Kilda 10-7-67 to 9-10-64. So we'll stay with the Saints. We'll hopefully have an interview for you very shortly from the winners' rooms as well. We'll see what we can do with the Western Bulldogs. We've got about half an hour before we hand you to Perth for the Eagles and Collingwood in another sudden death final tonight. So we know that the Saints will play Richmond next week. Damien Hardwick said after the game against Brisbane last night he wanted that match played at Carrara. Interesting with Stephen Hocking on the lead earlier today, Adam Ramanauskas, the head of football at the AFL. He didn't guarantee that that would be the case. He said that that's something they consider, the team requests, but didn't go as far as to guarantee that match between Richmond and now St Kilda would be played at Carrara.
Yeah, which is a little bit surprising. I think when Steve said that, we sort of all looked at each other and thought, okay. Because if that was any normal year, the game would be played at the MCG. It's, Richmond have earned the right to play the game where they want it. So, I found those comments interesting. I think Richmond will get what they want. That's just how it will work. No doubt the Gold Coast will want the game there as well for supporters and to use the stadium. But yeah. I thought myself, though, that the Tigers played better at the Gabba.
They do.
So they played 6 games at Carrara, and last night was just their second game at the Gabba this year.
But I don't think they'd lost at the Gabba since about 2004 to Brisbane.
But that's what makes it odd as to why you'd request playing at Carrara.
Well, it's proximity to where they're staying.
Yeah,
so I think where they're staying is 400 metres from Carrara. So they'd obviously prefer not to have to jump on the bus.
It is only,
yeah. But funnily enough, the trips from the Sunshine Coast and the trip from the Gold Coast have been taking a whole lot longer than they usually would. I think 3-hour trips from the Sunshine Coast. I don't know what's happened to the Bruce Highway.
You wouldn't believe this. Point kicker Breen has just rung.
He's happy?
I don't know because I haven't answered. I'm not going to.
There's a call we almost need to put to air service.
I don't think so.
All of a sudden, Sellers After Dark has some appeal if you can get people calling you.
Barry, if you're listening, 0437 774 774 if you want to send us a text. Saints fans, keep them coming. Dogs fans, what did you think of your year? 0437 774 774. So, reflections on the Saints, on what they've been able to achieve this year. It's not going to be the fleeting finals appearance we wanted, whether it was maybe just a brief appearance this year and building on it for next year. They've made it to week 2. What does it mean, Rama, do you think?
Well, they're good enough. I think their form was no fluke this year. They look like the real deal. That defensive unit, it's young and it doesn't have many big names in it, but it works. Patton was really good again. Wilkie was good again. I thought Caulfield and Hunter Clark were both sensational. Their composure tonight in really critical moments. You look at Caulfield right at the end there, where Duryea, he pumped that ball inside forward 50 to where that contest, Caulfield put himself in a really dangerous spot, Sellers, and he copped a fair whack, won the free kick, then's able to get it right out to the boundary. Marshall takes that mark, and it's game over. If that ball had a spilled or there's a stoppage inside forward 50, who knows? The result could have been different.
It sort of justifies their recruiting and what they've done. Okay, it justifies
which wasn't
their
without
program.
risk, Sellers.
No, lots of risk there, and I understand that, but it justifies it. Yeah, we get to round 2 of the finals, and we give ourselves a chance to go to a preliminary final, and that is going to help build them. Another final against a good side against Richmond. Let me tell you, if Richmond aren't in great form, if you attack them, you can hurt them. But can they go for 4 quarters? That's the key. We watched today, they can't go for 4 quarters. They were poor early, they were poor late. And you can't be poor early and poor late against the Tigers because they'll blow you away. So they've got some things to work on, but they got some talent, I tell you. They've got plenty there. Max King's, he's going to be something special. I thought Paddy Ryder was unbelievable tonight. Thought he was really good for a bloke who's played, I don't know how many games. He played 260 or something, 270 games or something like that, and he's still banging around and still out jumping the opposition ruckman. I thought he was fantastic.
The one positive also for St Kilda tonight, their midfield was quiet. So their leading possession when it was Hanbury, who mainly played out on a wing, went a little bit inside, but then, Ross only had 16 possessions, Jones 16, Steele 16, Sinclair 14, Billings 13.
So what are you saying?
Brad Hill. I think they got
you
more.
Pinched it.
No, I think they got improvement next week.
They have to improve next week.
I think that midfield will sort of look at tonight's game and go, nah, we need to go to another level. Our defensive unit really stood up for us tonight in really critical moments and helped. And then obviously their forwards, had a couple of bursts, 3 goals in the second quarter, 4 goals in the third quarter. So the best midfielder on the ground tonight was Bailey Smith for the Dogs. He had 24 possessions. He was really good.
Actually, I like Daniels. Daniels was really good too. He played down back, forward, and then he went forward. He was better. So he's a dangerous player, this kid.
The one area that hurt the Dogs tonight was their kicking efficiency. They went at 67%.
Terrible.
They went at 49% in that last quarter, where they just needed composure there. There's 17 inside 50s. There's a lot of bombing the ball in that last quarter, which I understand because they're trying to push hard. But composure when you're going in, you own the game. When you have the ball in your hand, forward to centre,
it's your fault.
Yeah, you own the game. You own the game. So what happens next is up to you. Yep, you can hit a target, you can put the ball in space, but you don't kick it back to the opposition. And they did that a couple of times.
So it was interesting listening to Ken Hinkley on Thursday night talking about different ways of scoring goals. So Charlie Dixon can be one option, kicking it to him, or you can manufacture goals through hard, intense football, getting the ball to ground level, having smaller players coming through. The Western Bulldogs don't seem to have a great connection between the midfield and the key forwards. It was the bomb it in. Norton, hope he takes a mark, hope Bruce takes a mark, or it comes to ground and a little guy can get it. But
they first thought is to go wide. In the middle of the ground, they don't go straight. They went straight in the last quarter, didn't they?
Yeah.
But during the game, they get the ball, they go out here to half forward flank. Why? Why?
My biggest concern for the Bulldogs has always been they overpossess the ball slightly through the middle of the ground. It might be 1 handball or 2 handballs extra, where if they went quicker to their forwards and got it in, it'd give them more of a chance. Because once you got that extra handball, once it overlap handball, it then allows the opposition to roll back. Norton's season this year, it was always going to be up and down. He started the year off with the knee injury, which was always going to be problematic for him. And then obviously the cheekbone in the last game of the season.
So Norton's the one who looks like he's going to be a really important player for them long term. He's already shown glimpses of it. It's who's around him, which you do wonder. Like Bruce clearly has been a failed recruit this season, and he's on a long-term deal at the Western Bulldogs. Is it 4 years? I think at reasonable money as well.
So Wallace has had a terrific year for the Dogs. So
that's a small forward.
Those two work. But they don't really have a small forward. Like they used Vandermeer a bit this year.
Who showed signs.
Yeah, they used Sam Lloyd at times.
Bailey Dale came
Bailey
in and out.
Dale in and out. So they haven't had a lot of consistency through the forward half of the ground.
What's his specialty, Bruce?
Oh, he's a forward.
I don't think so. I think he's probably been a ruckman as a kid. and they've had to put him forward at some stage, and he doesn't really play there well because he doesn't actually move properly. In the ruck, I think he's probably better. I'd put him in the ruck instead of English. At least you get a jump.
They certainly didn't recruit him as a ruckman, though, did they?
No, they
He
didn't.
kicked
But
50 goals
sometimes
at
you've got to
Kilda.
use him that way. You know what I mean? He can run quickly, so he can outrun Ryder and those sort of guys. So there's a difference in the middle of the ground. So when it doesn't work up forward, he gives himself another string to his bow. So to me, I don't know what he does really well because I don't watch every game he plays. And I don't work with him on a training track. But you've got to find something out about him and make him confident about doing it. But jumping into ruck, that's the way it should go.
We can get you into the St Kilda rooms. Defender Callum Wilkie has joined us on Grandstand AFL. Callum, congratulations. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Set the mood. What's it like in those St Kilda rooms at the moment?
It's pretty electric, pretty awesome. Bit of a relief after that fourth quarter, but everyone's thrilled.
What was it like being in defence in that last quarter as the Dogs just kept coming forward in wave after wave?
Yeah, it was pretty hectic, obviously. Felt like the quarter went for a whole game with how much time the ball was down there, but obviously lucky enough to hold on and get the win.
What did you reckon was the key to holding on in the end?
Probably the clock.
I like your honesty.
So do you reckon if you had longer quarters, you might have been in a bit of strife? The shorter quarters saved you?
Well, hopefully not, but we're obviously... trying to hold on. They were coming bloody hard. So, who knows?
And so many supporters we've had texting through the afternoon. They were literally on tenterhooks listening to the game. What does it mean to be one of the players who broke the drought, St Kilda's first finals win in 10 years?
Yeah, it's obviously an amazing feeling. I mean, the sport has been doing it tough for a long time. The club hasn't been in finals for 9 years. So, to be a part of the first winning final for a long time, it feels awesome, but it's just one step in the right direction.
Cal, Paddy Ryder was in tears after the game and looked like he was limping. Has he hurt himself? It looked like it may have hurt his hamstring.
Yeah, I think he's hurt himself not a little bit. I'm not sure how bad it is, but obviously the docs and the physios were assessing during the week, so hopefully it's not too bad.
He was sensational tonight, along with Rowan Marshall, the two-headed beast that they are and how they go about it. Was that a real focus area before the game that you thought those two, could definitely get on top of Tim English and give your mids first use?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a talking point every game with how good those two are together. I mean, they're both great ruckman in itself and provide different aspects in the middle with Paddy's ruck work and then Rowan's around the ground stuff. And then obviously on top of that, they both can go forward and pretty much be another key forward. So, it was obviously a talking point going in for them to try and work over Tim English. So, we spoke about it a bit before the game. So, it worked well.
Your defensive six are inexperienced. Obviously, Carlisle's the most experienced there, but the remainder of you guys haven't played a lot of football, but it looks like you play with no fear. Where does that come from? Is it just a collective, we've got to attack the game, or because I thought you're magnificent tonight again.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of the coach's confidence in us, and Rats has huge confidence in the back six. Yeah, we're probably one of the youngest back six in the league, bar Jake. So he just gives all the young guys huge confidence to go out and play to their strengths, because we've obviously got a lot of exciting players with Hunter, Ben Long and Nick Caulfield streaming off half back, and he just gives them license to do what they want, really. So, it's just been exciting to see those boys, grow over the year, and hopefully we're doing something special.
Who's the most important person in this footy club that's helped you over your little time?
There's a few. Jake Carlisle's been massive. Rats. Dougal's been huge this year. Nathan Brown as well. Last year, just giving me heaps of confidence to go after my game, and just he's always there to talk and talk about stuff I need to improve on and things I'm doing well. So there's a collective group that have been awesome to me since I got to the club.
Actually, next week you're going to have to play 4 quarters, you blokes, against Richmond.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you're going to have to, so it's going to be a tougher game.
Yeah, it will be a tough game. They're obviously, a great opposition, a great team. So, yeah, it's definitely going to need a four-quarter effort, unlike tonight.
He certainly will, and good luck to you. I hope you've got enough talent to beat them, I can tell you. Don't be frightened of them.
Callum Wilkie's with us. Cal, just before you go, you mentioned Jake Carlisle and his influence on you. His partner's heavily pregnant, 39 weeks, I think, back in Melbourne. Has he given you any indication of what his intentions are post this match?
Yeah, he's obviously looking to go home for the birth. I don't think he's made a full decision yet on whether to come back up or not. He's obviously still only and it's probably been quite a emotional year for him with that all happening. So we've obviously we'll miss him dearly if he doesn't come back. So, but he's been a great servant of the club many years, and this year as well, helping a lot of young boys flourish.
So you'd expect him to go this week and then see what happens from there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to get him back, isn't it, coming from Melbourne?
I don't think his partner is in Melbourne. I think she might be in New South Wales, but
that helps.
That does help, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah. No, congratulations on the win. And Richmond next, if you look at your path, does it give you confidence knowing that you've beaten the Western Bulldogs now, you've beaten Richmond during the regular season, and you've beaten Port Adelaide, who you'd face in the prelim if you got that far?
Yeah, obviously, now that this game's over, you obviously look to Richmond, and we had a good game against them last early in the year, but they've obviously improved dramatically over the season, so I think they're going to be a different team to what we faced earlier. But yeah, that obviously gives us huge confidence, knowing that our game suits up and holds up to a quality opposition like them.
Callum, it's Matt Clinch here. You're one of the great stories, mature age recruit coming through the sample with North Adelaide playing in their premiership there. Are you fearful about what might happen to players like you if list numbers are reduced, given you've experienced the highs of playing in AFL finals tonight?
Yeah, obviously, it'd probably, reduce the chances of someone coming up through the state leagues. But I think, there's clubs have been looking a lot of state league players to, come in and make an impact straight away. And there's been a lot of examples of that. So I hope, and I still reckon clubs will look to the state leagues to bring in players that can make an impact straight away, because I feel like there's been a lot over the years that have been able to do that.
Callum, congratulations. I know it means a lot to the players and everyone attached with the club, but it means so much to your fans as well, and many of them here in Melbourne have had a pretty tough year. So I'm sure they're very grateful for what you've done today, the first finals victory in 10 years. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, they've been amazing support, and we've obviously hit record numbers of members this year. So just like to thank, all the members all around Australia, but particularly in Melbourne that have been doing it tough. Their support has been amazing. The boys appreciate it.
Well said. Congrats, and enjoy the spoils of victory. Good luck next week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Callum Wilkie with us on Grandstand. AFL St Kilda winners by 3 points over the Western Bulldogs in the sudden death elimination final, 10-7-67 to 9-10-64. We've got about 15 minutes before we send you to Perth for West Coast and Collingwood, where there are no late changes. So that means Josh Kennedy's playing, those key players coming back for the West Coast Eagles. We've had a text come in from Liz and Marcus, who've enjoyed the 3-hour drive from southwest WA to Perth there, ready to go. And from the photo they've sent, it looks like a magnificent afternoon/evening for football in the West. If the Saints lose Ryder, then it's curtains on the finals campaign. 2 goals, 9 important disposals and hit-outs, won 31 to 9, a massive loss. Please keep me updated. I did see a shot in the rooms of Brett Ratton talking to the players, and Paddy Ryder didn't have any ice anywhere, but it didn't look good, did it? Yeah, it did not look good.
You mentioned that funny stat as well. So he played finals for 3 different clubs. That was his first ever finals win as well. So add to that the emotion of potentially an injury and going, finally won one, but am I going to be able to play? Hopefully it's cramp, but, hard to predict these sort of things.
Robin Montmorency says, I don't like St Kilda, but especially as a Blue, I'm so happy for Brett Ratton. An awful personal decade, but an outstanding coach who is now getting the positives Thank you, Rob, for your text message. Yes.
Who's our COVID officer? Could Jake Carlisle fly to New South Wales and back? You're allowed to fly to New South Wales, aren't you? I think the borders are open.
Victoria's the problem. So if his partner was
WA.
in, as it had been reported in Victoria, then that would pose serious problems. But Callum Wilkie confirming there that Jake Carlisle's intention is to be at the birth of his child, his partner Mel, 39 weeks pregnant, and then holding out faint hopes that he would be able to return. But Dylan Robertson's waiting in the wings for St Kilda, and he's been playing scratch matches. We've heard Matt Finnis talk about him earlier today as being a key part of what the Saints are building. He's in the leadership group. So
the problem is if Tom Lynch is available next week to play.
And he will be.
Yeah. You've got...
Josh Battle can come back in. Yeah.
So, their emergencies were Savage, Robertson, Hine and Wilkie, and then obviously Battle to come back in and can play forward or back.
So potentially Battle can play on Revolt. There's no doubt they sort of match up really well.
Howard and
Lynch. Howard's going to have to play Lynch.
How do you reckon he'd go against Lynch, Dougal Howard?
Well, he played really well tonight. He was their leading possession winner with 20. I think they would prefer Carlisle on Lynch. I think they would prefer that matchup. But, look, it is what it is. He wants to be there to support his partner, and good on him.
Max in Wynyard at 82 as a St Kilda fan. He says that was a bit hard on the heart. Hope you enjoyed it, Max. 0437 774 774. So the Saints have gone through. They'll play Richmond in the semi-final next week.
Did you mention I was a bit surprised? Roger Aldridge sent through a photo of his watch with his heart rate, which was 115 in the final term. That's not that high.
Well, no, marathon runner Roger's probably got a resting heart rate of about 45. So... No, Roger.
But you think of all the suffering for Saints fans over the years. God, they would have been pulling their hair out, biting their teeth, pacing the hallways.
The Dogs and Saints are those teams that you talk about long-suffering fans. It's a footy cliche, but it genuinely applies to those teams. The Bulldogs were able to put paid to that with the 2016 premiership. But these Saints have been desperate for a flag since 1966, their only premiership. They've been in the competition since 1897. They've made preliminary finals. They've made grand finals and haven't been able to win. They've drawn grand finals. So to be a St Kilda fan, I love it. I mean, the emotional ride of sport and what it can give you.
The Dogs have been pretty good. You look at 2007 and 8, they played prelim finals through that period. Then from 15, they played that elimination final against the Crows. 16, they win a premiership. 17, they miss out. 18, I'm pretty certain they played final. Last year, obviously, they played finals. So they're in a little period, the Dogs. But I think we expected a little bit more from them this year.
Yep.
I think when they're at their best, the Dogs, they look to be a top 4 team. But we didn't see that enough from the Dogs enough this year. They had to push enormously hard late in the season, Sellers, to qualify for the finals. That takes a lot of energy out of you.
They were so unclean tonight with the ball and fumbly and made a mess. And going forward, they were terrible until the last quarter. So you can't expect to win.
They were never kind of settled on their best team, were they? When you think of Lockie Hunter missing that period of time, coming back, they're missing with some personal issues, Bruce into the side, Norton out of the side, just that chemistry of what their best side is. It never felt like we saw that on a consistent basis.
No, and that continuity within your team is really, really important. That's, Port Adelaide and Brisbane this year, they haven't had many injuries, and they both win. They're both through to a prelim final. The Dogs team's continually changed. Again, tonight, Cordy, another injury, so if they would have got through, he obviously wouldn't be playing next week. So, yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard when you can't have consistently have your best players out on the field.
You touched on the Dogs' final record. For the Saints, 2011 elimination final loss to Sydney, qualifying finals 2010, 2009, 2008, elimination final 2006, qualifying final 2005. They haven't had much luck in like an elimination final, similar to the Dogs, where maybe you just get lucky in a year. Go back to 1992 when they beat Collingwood in elimination final. They lost to Footscray the following week in the semi-final.
Clinchy, you got to make your own luck. You just don't think that you got to have luck. You got to do it yourself. You can't rely on luck. If you're relying on luck, you're going to lose.
There's
it's about making sure of it.
Yeah, they're not the best side in it. But on their day, they could win.
Yeah, they could. No doubt. particularly the way they played that second and third quarter. That was terrific football. But what they went after tonight, they went after Caleb Daniel in the first sort of half. So Luke Beveridge then had to move Caleb Daniel to another part of the ground, and Geary was able to drag him back to the goal square a number of times.
English was the other one.
Geary, in the end, kicked 2 goals, handed one off to Membry. So, he's involved in 3 or 4 goals there. They went after English enormously.
Easily, and he's soft to get hit
Paddy Ryder had a great night. Yeah. It's a terrific game of football by Ryder. He was one of the real difference makers in the end for the Saints. And I thought the other one they went after a little bit was Lockie Hunter. Like, Hunter had a reasonable game for the Dogs. But if you look how St Kilda play, they played a lot through his wing. So they tried to run through his wing a lot because they know Hunter likes to get forward himself because he's a great runner himself, but they wanted to get him on the counter. And his side of the ground, his wing side of the ground, there seemed to be a lot of space there today for the Saints.
He had more of an impact than Brad Hill. Hunter had 20 disposals. Brad Hill had 12.
Yeah, but some of them are a yard, 2 yards.
1-2s.
Little bang-bangs. And, there was no real influence, big influence on the game.
In the NRL elimination final, the Canberra Raiders look like they're going through. They're leading 32 points to 14 against the Cronulla Sharks in what was a pretty tight match in the first half. There are about 5 minutes to go. The Storm are taking on Parramatta later this evening at Lang Park in Brisbane. That's a qualifying final between those two. In the Super Netball this afternoon, the Melbourne Vixens progressed to the grand final. The minor premiers defeated the Sunshine Coast Lightning 63-47, and Australia's women won the first one-day international at Allan Border Field against New Zealand by 7 wickets. So what do the Western Bulldogs need? Amit Bains, the CEO, told us earlier on Grandstand AFL that they had a youngish list, that there was room within their salary cap, whatever that looks like next season, but they had the potential to go after some players. It wouldn't just be the Western Bulldogs looking at the draft to top up what they've got. They'd be looking at a few that are available. And I wonder about Tim English because he comes in for a fair bit of criticism. On his day, he can be good, and he's very effective around the ground, and he's athletic in that Dean Cox mould. But physically, he hasn't developed yet to the stage. He's only very young where he can compete with those big-bodied ruckmen.
I don't think aggression's his go.
Well,
if you're in the ruck, you need to be aggressive.
He needs some help. So that's why St Kilda, in the end, they went and got Paddy Ryder. Like, Marshall had a really good year last year, but they also thought, well, we want to protect him a little bit. Marshall's now 25, so Ryder's going to go on next year, of course. But Marshall, now he can take the ruck division for the next 7 to 8 years. No worries for the Saints. At the Dogs, if it's not Tim English, who else is it?
So should they make a big play at a Todd Goldstein or a Braden Pruce or someone to come in and complement?
Well, he needs some help.
I'd get Todd Goldstein because they want to get rid of him anyway.
For a couple of years?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, just a little bit. Then you develop another guy because I don't know if he's ever going to. English is he's wishy-washy, isn't he?
If he puts on weight sellers, he takes away his greatest asset, which is his running,
movement,
which is moving. So that's the conundrum they've got there.
But is it a coaching challenge to some extent in terms of coming up with the right chemistry? Because it feels like they identified they needed a forward. That's why they went and got Josh Bruce. But he and Norton have been too similar in their positioning and their aerial strengths that it just, I don't know. You look at their small
Norton's
forwards
better
as well.
Than Bruce. There you go. Norton's better than Bruce.
Much better. Right,
by a mile. By a mile. Yeah.
Of course he is.
Yeah, I understand that. So what have you actually got to the club? Is it a recruiting problem?
I actually think when Bruce goes into the ruck, he looks
much
better.
Yeah.
Because he's involved in the play. And we said that before the game. Yeah. If Bruce is not touching the ball or getting near it, put him up into the play. Get him involved in the action. Then when he got involved in the action, when he went back forward, he actually looks a lot better. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it is Bruce playing as a second ruckman and they go get another forward. Who knows?
Ben Brown's in play.
Yeah.
Get the deal done, Rammer.
It was odd they threw Hayden Crozier forward. I mean,
see, I didn't like that.
Not that he can't play that role, but if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you played that hand for the last 6 weeks?
So I thought to start the game, the Bulldogs took away some of their great strengths. Johannesson started forward, Crozier started forward. So what happens is then, as soon as Caleb Daniel gets dragged back to the goal square, they've got no run. They've got no run. Their run, as we said at half-time, was Ryan Gardner. And as brave as Ryan Gardner is, you don't want the ball in his hand coming out of defensive 50 trying to hit a target up the ground. He's a key defender. He's a lockdown key defender. So you needed Crozier back there. Then they started to use Duray more in the second half, and they left him on the ground more. So they started to get that run and carry again. But I didn't understand why both Crozier and Johannesson were playing forward in the first half.
Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure, your Saturday/evening experts on Grandstand AFL, have been superb throughout the course of the season.
This has been a Dean Jones kind of innings. We've just set up camp today and gone from dawn to dusk.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Bring on the spinners.
I think we're in Madras, Clinchy. Daniel from Moorabbin says, I'm also happy St Kilda had a close win after more close losses during the season. This could be the making of St Kilda's second flag in the next 5 years, says Daniel from Moorabbin. So it's perhaps not about the now, but it's about the steps forward taken, and surely a finals win. Well, they've gone past what would be deemed as a success this year with a finals victory.
Well, I think so. I think that they set out at the start of the year to get themselves going, okay? And Brett Ratton comes in and takes over the coaching ranks. So all of a sudden he changes. He brings in a whole lot of blokes. And it'd be remiss if they missed the finals, because they brought in some people around this place that have been pretty damn good players. And they've made that, okay? Little tick. But next week will be an interesting one for them. If they can go again and make another tick, all of a sudden, away you go. And you get some confidence about yourself to play the big boys.
They've got time on their side. They've got 3 old players, Carlisle, Ryder and Geary. The rest are going to be there for a long time. So you're right. There could be a sustained period of success here for the Saints if they keep getting it right at the trade table.
Get that checkbook for Max King.
Really exciting. You use the word frightening quite appropriately to talk about his potential. A few of the things he did in his first final today, kicked a couple of goals.
You still got to protect him.
Yep.
But to me, it was just too easy. You know, who was the opposing?
Had a lot of Easton Wood, who's
Zane Cordy going down, didn't hurt the Dogs. Had a lot of fun this afternoon, right throughout the day with you guys. We're going off to Perth now, another sudden death final. West Coast taking on Collingwood. No late changes for that match. Enjoy the rest of your football action on Grandstand AFL. Could the Pies muster something? These two teams have played some finals classics over the years. Let's hope that's the case tonight. Thanks to all involved. It was St Kilda winning its first final in 10 years, 10-7-67. The Dogs out, 9-10-64.
ABC Books, the home of Australian stories. One Nation, the US gun lobby, and $20 million. Walkley Award winner Peter Charlie takes us inside journalism's most audacious sting in How to Sell a Massacre, revealing how an Australian political party's bid to seize power threatened to dismantle the gun laws that keep Australians safe. How to Sell a Massacre. Book and audiobook available now in bookshops and online.